Well, there you have it. David Ornstein has confirmed Tottenham Hotspur have sacked Thomas Frank, and the merry-go-round at this football club continues. He had to go, didn't he? He absolutely had to go. There was nowhere left for him to hide. I have tried to back this man. I think you all know I have. I really wanted it to work out. I wanted Spurs to have a plan. I wanted Spurs... Sorry, I've just woken up, by the way. I didn't go to bed till 4 a.m. and my phone was buzzing like mad about 15 minutes ago. I've tried, but the results just didn't come. And when we have a look here, you can see Thomas Frank sacked as Tottenham Hotspur head coach. Tottenham working through various possible contingency plans to replace the 52-year-old Dane as the club sit 14th in the Premier League, 5 points above the relegation zone, and 2 wins from 17 matches. Now, look, we'll get more and more of these reports that will be coming in shortly. Sorry, I haven't had a time to shower or anything. Yeah, Ornstein's saying 14th. We're not actually 14th, are we? Look, it's a tough one. Sorry, everybody and anybody is now messaging me. Everybody and anybody is messaging me. I get it. I've seen it. He's gone. Where do we go? Now, don't forget, this is the difference, right? Is it an emergency contingency plan, or is this going to be a manager that comes in full time? You would think it would be a contingency, but Thomas Frank, you can't. The thumbnail's being done now. I didn't have the thumbnail done. My thumbnail guy is doing the thumbnail now. I need it now. Look. What do you say? 2 wins in 17. You can't. No one can survive that. And as much as you think he needs this win to save his job, next win to save his job. Okay, we've got to beat West Ham at home. Didn't do that. We need this win. And there's just no wins coming from this man at all. And the time ran out. And yes, we know there's extenuating circumstances. Yes, we know the situation. Yes, the hope is that there is now a new manager bounce that we all desperately need. But the sad state of affairs is that Tottenham Hotspur are now about to have their 7th manager in 6 years. And I just don't, I genuinely don't know what to say anymore about this football club. I don't know what to say about this football club. We're just a mess, right? We're just a mess. I don't know where we go. I don't know where we go. What they have done, what we can say, they've given themselves the best possible time period between now and playing Arsenal, right? They've given themselves the best time frame between now and playing Arsenal. Where are they going to go? Well, lots of reports are going to say that De Zerbi was let go yesterday by Marseille. Is De Zerbi the guy that's going to drag you out of a relegation battle? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. The question is this, right? This is the question. What manager turns it around? Forget which manager you like right now. Who's the one that turns this round? Will it be Heitinger? Ash, you got a point. Is it going to be Heitinger? What do we know about Heitinger? Sorry, I'm just adding the thumbnail to my thing now, right? I'm just adding the thumbnail to. Hang on. 1 second. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Hang on. This is what happens when everything happens so quickly. This is what happens. I should have had the Frank sacked thumbnail. It's an interesting one, right? Like where do you go as a football club? Have they had this in the back of their mind? If somebody would be so kind to tell me, has the thumbnail now uploaded? Has the thumbnail now uploaded? Could someone share that with me and let me know if that is the case? I think it should have, but if somebody could tell me if it has, that would be absolutely amazing. Let me just thank my thumbnail guy. Look, we're here again, aren't we? we're here again as Spurs fans, sitting here going, right, what next? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And there's going to be this school of thought, Dan. I think we've got to look at that. Is Heitinger will suddenly start winning with 13 fit players. By the way, we have 11 outfield fit players, I'm pretty sure now, and 3 goalkeepers, something like that. So, guys, he had to go. No doubt about that. No love lost. No sleep will be lost. Where do we go? And I tell you what, as much as I wouldn't like to agree with this is half my problem, right? Is I don't think it's about getting too excited. I agree. I want to see what do these players do? I'm just messaging Lubo with the link. 1 second, everybody. I'm just messaging Lubo. Look, we are all praying, aren't we? We are all praying for the new manager bounce. I agree. We need a new manager bounce. What if the new manager bounce doesn't come? Right? What if the new manager bounce doesn't come? Now, obviously, we hope that isn't the case. But for me, this isn't a case of excitement. This isn't a case of, yeah, he's gone. This is a case of, right, what do we do now? What do we do before we're going to go, yes, really happy. Oh, my God, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. Right. Now I'm looking at Vinay. I'm looking at Lang, and I'm saying, what have you guys got in store? What have you guys got in store for us? Right? It's all well and good. It's all well and good sacking him. The sacking him bit, that's the easy bit. The hard bit is, where do we go now? What do we do? Is De Zerbi called? Right? Is De Zerbi going to get us organised, defensively structured with the players we've got? I don't know if he's that guy. I like him as a manager, but we're in a very tricky situation, aren't we? We're in a very tricky situation. For me, this isn't good news for the club. I think this was necessary. I don't think this is good news in the short term. In the long term, will it be good news? It depends if they implement a plan, doesn't it? It depends if they implement a plan. Now, you get people that say anyone will do better. Sure. But we've seen many situations where interim managers go into clubs and it doesn't get better. So, no problem with him leaving. Listen, if you're Thomas Frank right now, you have just been paid a lovely amount of money to walk away, right? Sorry, my alarm's link sent. Sorry, it's mad. When it all happens this rushed, I didn't expect Spurs would. But what you can say is Vinay's made the decision, right? Vinay's made the decision. Now, the new manager coming in is going to have to, with injured players, are going to have to immediately work this out. Now, people will be happy. People will be... There's a difference. When you sack a manager mid-season, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you're doing. And again, people say silly stuff like, like, we won't play coward football from the first minute. Sure. But what does that mean? We didn't play coward football last year and lost 22 games. So you've got to, listen, hindsight is going to be a wonderful thing on this one, isn't it? Hindsight will be a wonderful thing. The new manager comes in, gets an immediate bounce, and we all go, whew, weight off the shoulders. Or these players continue to perform the way they've continued to perform now for 3 years, which is lose, 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 lose. For example, Spurs have lost 33 games out of the last 64. 33 out of 64. What do you do with that? 33 out of 64. So let's not just assume that suddenly we're just going to start winning every game. I can't assume that anymore with these players. I can't assume that. This manager's going to be walking in again with, again, there's no Kulu, there's no Maddison, there's no Kudus, right? There's no Romero, there's no Porro, there's no Adogi, right? This manager is not walking into a blessed squad, a fully fit squad, right? We also know, absolutely, Lee, feel free, Lee, if you want to come on. I know you're probably working, but again, this isn't going to be someone who's currently in employment. You're absolutely right, Lee, is it? This is not going to be somebody, surely, that is currently in employment. Are they going to drop their job and go, yeah, I'll take 12 games as an interim to be Spurs manager when they're in a mess? Now, I don't think we'll go down. I've said that all along. I don't think we will. I do think we will have enough to stay up. I think what the Spurs board are saying is we just need to ensure that, right? As we said yesterday, if Spurs don't win and West Ham pick up something against Man United, you're not looking over your shoulder anymore. They're breathing on your neck. This is no longer, I'm not looking behind me. They're there. And I don't blame the Spurs board for acting. I don't blame them for acting. They acted. They've done what they've done. My big question mark, I've said this all along, I don't know if I trust them to get this next bit right. Now, doesn't mean they won't. Just forgive me. As a Spurs fan, I think we're right in saying this board have given us nothing to give us, have shown us nothing to give us confidence. Nothing to give us the confidence. I think we're all beaten, aren't we, as fans? I think we're all beaten. Whether or not it was Ange that did it for you, or Jose, or Conte, or Nuno, or whether it's taken to Frank, I think we're all beaten as fans now. This is going to be, sorry, Blaine Dev, I'll come to that in a second. This is now going to be 7 managers in 6 years, I believe, or 7 in 7. And as a club, it makes us look absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? Necessary this time, necessary last time, necessary at the time, but we're starting to look like a bit of a clown show. We're starting to look like a clown show. By the way, for people that say things without doing their homework, if Brentford lose to Arsenal at the weekend, they've got less points than they would have had at the same stage last season. So I think everyone needs to calm down with the whole he was holding Brentford back. If Arsenal beat them, they are worse off than last season. So just everybody relax. Now, it's also going to have to be a manager that experienced in the Champions League. Does that matter? I'm just asking questions. Just asking questions. Does that matter? Experience in the Champions League? Or is this now purely save Premier League survival? Where do we go? Now, as an interim manager, and for those that haven't seen it, this is what David Ornstein said. Let me blow this up a little bit for you. I'm sure we'll see a lot more news from other people. This is what David Ornstein has said. Exclusive. Thomas Frank sacked as Tottenham Hotspur head coach. Spurs working through various possible contingency plans. I love this. We're working through them to replace the 52-year-old Dane as the club sit 14th in the Premier League. Ornstein, I'd love you to be right, but we're sitting 16th in the Premier League. Says 5 points above relegation zone after 2 wins from 17 matches. Let's have a look and see. I don't know if anyone else has said anything. I've had to borrow someone's account here. One second. Let's get that down a little bit. Let's see if Romano has caught the news as well. I think he must have. No, Romano's not posted anything yet. Let's see if Jacobs has. He normally jumps on a bandwagon. There you go. Breaking. Thomas Frank has been sacked by Tottenham. Spurs 5 points clear of the relegation and haven't won a game this year. Look, guys and girls, it's another day in the roundabout and the circus that is Tottenham Hotspur. And this picture forever will be correct, won't it? The Spurs big top circus. It is the blind leading the blind. And I genuinely, I'm intrigued to see where they go next. As I've said, I'm going to have no opinion on this now moving forward, which manager comes in. This is down to them. They've got to get this right. Yeah, if you sack a manager, you've got to know that the bloke you're bringing in is going to do a good job. Right? Good job. I was asleep. Tom, I was asleep, mate. I didn't go to bed till 4. And then I just saw my phone was vibrating and vibrating and vibrating. Look, I genuinely don't know. This name is definitely going to be thrown around. He leaves, right? Again, Ragnar, stop saying stupid shit. What energy? What energy? I'm worried for the club, my man. I don't know how we're doing this. I'm worried for the club. I'm very, very worried. On the surface, people can be very happy, but everyone is now placing their trust in owners that have demonstrated time and time again that they don't know what they're doing, right? So it's not about energy. It's about they've demonstrated time and time again that they don't know what they're doing. Now, you would like to think that behind the scenes, they have had a plan and they've thought that this moment might be coming. Do we trust them? Right? Do we trust them that they did have a plan, or is this just going to be reactionary? Do we trust them? We can chuck out names all day long, and I'll ask everyone in a little bit. We can chuck out names all day long. But do we trust them? That is the question. Do we trust the owners will get this right? Because as I said, managers come and go. No love lost. Managers get very rich from getting sacked, right? What if the new manager comes in, though, we don't win for 3, 4, 5 games? What if at that stage, what happens? What happens when you're turning around and going, oh, shit, it is the injuries, it is the hypotheticals, just hypotheticals. Maybe the manager comes in and he goes, boom, boom, boom. 3 wins on the spin. Don't worry about relegation, guys. I've got this sorted. Brilliant. Who is that guy? For the first time today, I'm going to ask you, who is that guy? Is it that you think we do nothing and Spurs didn't have a plan and we just go to Heitinger? Now, let's be honest. If they just go for Heitinger, you know there's no plan, right? I don't know if you got to agree with me on that. If they just go for Heitinger, you know there's no plan. Unless it was the long game and they brought him in going, hang on, we're not sure about Frank. But look, I don't think this is a happy day for Spurs. This again is another event in the last 6, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years that shows you Spurs are once again a mess. Yeah, we can be happy in the moment. There are people that have hated him from day one. They're going to feel justified and lovely, and they'll go and they'll point score. But where do we go from here? Chris, my man, as YouTubers are finally starting to wake up and join in. Chris, the right decision?
Yeah, look, I think I'm probably on the one fairly extreme end of the views. Like, I've never been in for this vitriol towards Frank. Actually, I'm a bit sad for him today because I think we've just failed another guy. But it got to the point where you can't carry on. I mean, I sat there last night watching it, and it was dreadful. So, and much like what happens to you, Sava, on most of your streams, people need to understand that I'm not saying we shouldn't have sacked him. I think we have reached the point where we couldn't carry on, but Yeah, I feel sorry for him. Not that he's not made mistakes. It's not what I'm saying. Not that we shouldn't be doing better. Just that I think he was dealt a pretty much impossible hand, and the club have done nothing. I really love the way you put it last night, which was at the start of January, we had a clear choice of backing him or sacking him, and we didn't do either of them.
Absolutely. I mean, look, just quickly before I bring in Dan as well. Look, Spurs have announced it. I think we knew it had happened, but they said the club has taken the decision to make a change in the men's head coach position, and Thomas Frank will leave today. Thomas was appointed in June 2025, and we have been determined to give him the time and support. Right, we'll come back to that sentence. The time and support needed to build for the future together. Right, that make. Oh, we'll come back to that. However, results and performances have led the board to conclude that a change at this point is necessary. Throughout his time at the club, Thomas has conducted himself with unwavering commitment, given everything in his efforts to move the club forward. We would like to thank him for his contribution and wish him every success in the future. Dan E. As said, the guy needed to go. Morning, mate. The guy needed to go, but it's that second little block there that I can't get down with. You know, we have been determined to give him the time and support. I don't want this sacking to take away, Dan, from just how little this club has done to back or lack of backing for yet another manager. Talk to me about the sacking. Talk to me about that.
Well, I literally woke up about 3/4 an hour ago and then just started getting the calls in while I took the dog out quickly about an hour ago. Yeah,
I was asleep, mate. I was asleep. Yeah, I'm like,
literally got up an hour ago, took the dog out for half hour most, and then next thing I know, the phone's going off. Everything. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, it was coming after yesterday. It had to happen, but
sure.
The question is with it is where do we go next? What is out there to get? What manager is going to come in for the meantime, or what manager could we get in for the full time? Have they already been planning ahead for this? If they would have, you would have thought it'd have already gone by now in January. It's the big question is for everyone is where's it going to go now? And did he get backed up? No, he didn't. Definitely not in January. Was there a reason to it? I mean, I'd said for a while, if they're intending on get rid of him, then don't necessarily go and get the players he necessarily wants, but go and get some players that the club needs, that the next manager can use in that. And, well, we got Gallagher. Goodbye, in my opinion, there. But apart from that, what have we done? Nothing. And, well, let's see where it takes us now. There's a couple of ones that are starting to come up on the news. And we shall see. Is it going to be a part-time one, or is it going to be the next manager as such? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I as I said, we're just a circus. This is now going to be, I believe, Chris, this is going to be the 7th manager in 7 calendar years. Doesn't mean managers shouldn't have been sacked, Chris, but again, it shows that there really isn't a structure and a plan. My big concern, Chris, is, as I've said, for anyone that has listened, and I have to caveat, Chris, because people don't listen, but you and I speak off air, and you know, my worry has never been, oh my God, Frank, I don't care. My worry is the very same people that have overseen this shit show are the very same people we're now entrusting to go again. It's like that mate, Chris, you know, that mate that constantly picks another half who isn't right for them, and everyone knows it other than them. Do you see where I'm coming from with this? Do you have faith in Lang and Vinay and whoever is making this next decision?
I suppose Vinay would argue that he hasn't been directly accountable or responsible for a manager appointment as yet. I mean, he would have been involved in the discussion, but it wasn't on him. I'm clutching at straws slightly.
Yeah, sure.
Frank's the fall guy, right? We're like a dilapidated, knackered out old bus, and we're hoping that suddenly it's going to change by replacing the bus driver. Right? It's fine, we can do that, but there's so many more issues. Yeah, look, they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. They've certainly got this next appointment, I reckon. And we'll see what happens. But the big concern I think we all have is that 6 months into next season, we're just having the same chat again. I can't imagine we're going to appoint a permanent right now because there's very few out there for a start. All roads seem to be leading really in one direction. So it's what do we do to get there, I think. But yeah, Thomas Frank's an absolute fall guy. It's not going to be popular, but I just feel a bit sorry for him. And I'm not defending his performance. I just think, I just think he's taking the rap for a lot of failure here. That's not just his.
Yeah, of course. Look, this has been years and years and years. But the be all and end all, Dan, is we are in the situation we're in. We can lay blame at the feet of Frank, at Ange, at Lang, at Paratici, at Levy, at Vinay. We can lay the blame at who Conte brought in and Joe. We can lay the blame wherever we want to lay it, Dan. But again, Tottenham Hotspur, we're a bit of a laughing stock to the rest of the world, right? Like we should not be in this situation where we've got, I believe that it's 11 outfield fit players as it stands, 3 goalkeepers, right? 11 outfield fit players. And what's pissed me off, Dan, isn't that they've sacked him, is that they could have done this at the beginning of January, got a new guy in, given him a couple of loan signings or signings that he wanted, and we could be sitting here in a stronger position. But they've done what, Dan, you said this. I don't know if you remember this, but you said this mid-January. You said, I hate giving other YouTubers credit, but you turned around and said mid-January, you know what they'll do, Sava. They're going to sack him when the window's shut. Couple of games, they'll sack him because there's nowhere to go then, and all the heat then comes off them. And here we are. Didn't back him, didn't sack him. Now they have when the window's shut.
It's what we do. It was, I mean, for me to an extent, you'd hope it doesn't go like that, but it was just too easy to predict it like that because that's exactly the sort of thing that our owners do. A normal owner, a normal person who wants to win something or wants the best on the football side of things wouldn't do it like that, or you wouldn't think they'd do if they got half a brain on them. But our ones would. And I would have thought they'd have at least got a player or two in to give us some cover because the injuries were still coming through in January and getting even more injuries than that. But yeah, I thought, do you know what they'll probably do is what you said. They'll probably wait until a game or two after and then just say, well, we had to sack him and we didn't buy anyone because we didn't want to get him any players. Well, then use your common sense and go buy some players that the next manager can blatantly use. Gallagher, prime example, yeah? For me, I think he's a good buy for what we paid for him and that. I think he's a good player and definitely more than a squad player. He walks into our team. The next manager is going to be able to use him without a doubt. He's going to use him. Yeah, the next manager's not going to go, oh, Gallagher, I've got to get out my club. You can't do anything. Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely. We needed players like that to come in that the next manager is going to blatantly use as well, which I don't think is a hard enough job to do either. And they've had the options. It's all down to the owners at the end of the day. I've said it before. Levy wasn't the problem. He was one of the problems, but I think it's really starting to show now where the real problem starts and finishes. It's at the top. We've all been right all the time, just thinking that one might be a bigger problem than the other. At the end of the day, the whole thing is an issue. The players, the manager, and mainly the owners. The easiest one to do is get rid of the manager and get another manager in there and hit and hope, basically. Because rebuilding the team and everything else, that doesn't happen in 5 minutes. We know that. But has he been backed? The 4 players he got in when he started, that was good. But what else was there for the squad as such? It was only for players we got rid of, basically. Yes, it improved the 11, 1 or 2 of them, but we didn't get nothing to build on, basically, apart from that. And then in January, we go and get one player that's probably not going to play unless it's an absolute emergency. And yeah, we got a respectable player in there. I think, last thing I say, I think Ange has given us this saying now where we can all relate back to Ange. It's who we are, mate. I think we're going to end up using that as a Spurs saying.
Matt, sorry. Listen, I don't know if it's this magic microphone again, mate. I'm gonna say this with all due respect. Grow up, you prick. There you go. That's as respectful as I can be. Sorry, are you listening to what the words that are going into my microphone? I can say that he had to be. I can say that he had to be sacked. I can also be worried about what the club do moving forward because of the previous form. Grow up, Matt. You said to me the other day you are in your mid-40s. Listen to what I've said and grow up. Listen.
I think a lot of fans, mate, especially on YouTube, don't have the capacity to adopt any nuanced position. You either have to be Frank is, and all the people who abuse him and call him a Danish pastry like we're all 4-year-olds. You either have to be all against him and Frank's an absolute dickhead, or you're, if you're not in that position, you're automatically behind him. And it's not like that, is it? And anyone with any common sense, which clearly he doesn't have, can adopt a position of, like I'm trying to say, look, I was probably one of his biggest, not defenders, but maybe one of the more patient with him, put it like that. But like, I can accept that he needs to be sacked, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other things. I can still feel sorry for him because he hasn't been backed properly. He's had loads of injuries. It's nuanced. Almost everything in life is nuanced, but some football fans are just fucking idiots and they don't have the mental capacity to understand that it's not just one thing or the other.
That's why I say football.
What gets me with it, though, is it's okay to say, right? It's okay. Well, mate, if you joined late and you didn't get the context, then keep your fucking mouth shut, you prick. I'm sorry. I'm not doing this anymore, mate, right? I've literally said last night, he's got to go, right? I'm allowed to say, yes, he needed to go. Do I blame him 100%? No. And again, the problem is, Matt, you are Enoch's wet dream. You are Enoch's wet dream, because if you believe this is 100% on Thomas Frank, we go round in circles, right? We go round in circles, right? So grow up, mate. You just got to grow up a little bit here. Look, guys, the big thing now is going to be, is it going to be Johnny Heitinger? Johnny Heitinger was only brought to the club. I'm just going to, 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that. Ex-Ajax manager, sacked from Ajax. I don't know a lot about him. If we bring him in, if we don't get another manager and it is Heitinger, is that the board showing again that they had no real plan?
Well, yeah, there's no question. I don't see how you can conclude anything else if that's... I've got no... How can you have faith in Johnny Heitinger? Johnny Heitinger is basically literally the any other person but Frank appointment, as far as I'm concerned, which absolutely shows there's no... We should have been planning for this. In my view, you should do what Brighton do and plan for the next guy as soon as you appoint this guy. But at the very least, we should have been planning for this from November when it was going really quite badly wrong. But we'll see, won't we, in the next day or two. I mean, is it a massive coincidence that he's gone now when De Zerbi's come up and been sat? I don't know. We'll find out. I guess we're going to get on to that talk now, where we have who the hell do we bring in now?
Yeah. Look, I don't know. I mean, Dan, listen, guys and girls in the chat, can we stop all the trolling, please? Can we listen? If you're a Spurs fan, this should not be a fun day for you. If you're a Spurs fan, this should show yet again that we are massively in a mess. Dan, this is a situation where whatever we look at this, loads of people are going to be beside themselves that he's gone. Yes, we're happy. As though it's a given, Dan, that suddenly we just start rattling off wins. But since the beginning of last season, mate, we've lost 33 of 64 games. Right? 33 in 64. Like, this is now becoming a real worry for me that there are huge issues at the club and that the only thing people are looking at is one thing, which is the manager. Are we being a bit short-sighted here? Not in sacking him, but in believing that it's just Frank and now suddenly all of these players apparently start winning games.
No, it's not. It's not just Frank. I said that he has done himself no favors. Like I said, with the players he got some good players in, but not enough for a squad, in my opinion. And then January blatantly not backed. The problem, if you lot remember, I said last season, halfway through it with Ange, we carry on like this next season or 2 or 3, we can go down. I said about 3-4 months ago now, carry on like this one, we can go down this year. And here we are. Are people actually starting to believe now that we're not too big to go down? I mean, there's that old saying, and I've seen it happen in so many ways, whether it be business or people, whatever. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. It is not impossible, and it's definitely not looking impossible now. This could be our last chance, basically, in the aspect of the owners have to get this right. Otherwise, next season, that might be the end of it. We might not have 3 teams worse than us like we did the past season, and hopefully this season and that. I think we are right on our last legs, basically. And if something doesn't change very, very quickly, we're in serious trouble.
I mean, guys, this is, as I said, this is since the beginning of last season. So we're nearly 2 whole seasons. I won't even add the 3rd season, right? This is now 33 defeats from 64, which obviously maths tells you that's above 50%. And we have won 18 Premier League games in just under 2 years. This for me, Chris, is a real worry. It's a real worry that we think a new manager comes in. Apparently, all of a sudden, we're just going to click, start scoring goals. I heard yesterday, let the shackles off. And I'm looking and going, let the shackles off. Who? Which shackles are we letting off? Is it Odegaard?
The hope.
Who are the shackles coming off?
The hope for it is I mean, I spoke to you the other day that a majority of the time, I would say when a new manager comes in, you see that little bit of honeymoon period. Obviously not all the time, but I'd say a majority of the time you see that little honeymoon period, whether it's 3 straight wins or 3 out of 5 or whatever, but you do usually see that. And I think that's definitely one thing we're hoping for now, to get at least another 3 wins and 2 draws, basically, to save the club, literally. And maybe that's part of the hit and hope that they're doing. They should have let him go at the start of January and had a chance to give the new manager a couple of players in there and do something. But it's, where do we go? I mean, who is out there to get? Who's going to want to come to a club now as a full time when there is a very high chance that we can go down? We are only 5 points away from bottom 3. As all that takes is another 3 games, and we can be in that bottom 3.
I still don't.
What manager is going to want to come to that? I don't think we will, but it's definitely not impossible. I mean, look at it.
I've got to concede that, Dan. I can't. I've been the one going, we're not in a relegation fight for ages. I still can't see it, but I can't argue that we're not in it. I can't argue that. We're definitely involved.
I totally get what you're saying. I don't think we will, but it's definitely closer than we want it. And if we don't fix things next season, I mean, this season is going to be basically 2 seasons where we finished in the bottom 5th, where we finished lower than 15th by the look of it, unless something excellent happens with us in the next 10, 12 games, whatever. And it's definitely showing something that there is a massive problem at the club. I don't think we will go down, but it's not impossible, not at all. Yeah. We can. But I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, no, the worst thing is if we believe we can't go down, that is a really dangerous territory.
That's what I've been basically trying to say the whole time. Yeah. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. I mean, the other question I asked before we won the Europa Cup last season, I've done a show on it as well, and then asked a lot of people on their shows, if we win this Europa Cup, is it actually a good thing that we won the cup? Or is it just going to cover all the cracks and give the owners an excuse not to basically put anything into the club that they need to? That was the other question I asked with it. Obviously, I'm happy we won something with it, but did it actually cover up the cracks and give them an excuse not to go out and spend an excess amount of money on players that we need?
I mean, look, Chris, you've worked in betting for a lot of your life. This can we read anything into this? The bookies this morning of what? De Zerbi's just gone what 1-2, 4-7, 5-4. You can get him. Does this mean anything to you?
I will actually, just in case anybody uses this moment to go, actually, that's a good bet. Just put a slight warning out there. When you put this up on the screen 45 seconds ago, I Googled it in the background to see what have you looked at. The wording here is really important. So this is Odds Checker. So Odds Checker just accumulates, like it's like an aggregator, right, for all of these different bookies. Anyone wanting to place a bet on this, be really careful that you understand what you're betting on, because the wording here is very vague, which is the next permanent Tottenham manager, and you need to understand what does that actually mean. And the rules and the terms and conditions for each bookie might be slightly different. So if we announce someone as an interim, is that the next permanent Tottenham manager or not? So it's difficult to see, because at 4-7, I think there's every chance we might appoint De Zerbi to the end of the season. Is he your next permanent Tottenham manager? So don't get stung by the terms and conditions is my only advice.
Who's the guy? Chris, listen, I like De Zerbi as a manager. I like his style, but right now he hasn't really got any time to go in, implement a style. Is he the guy that takes you out?
No one has got any time here to go in and implement a philosophy or any complicated tactics or to build relationships between players. You just need someone who can go in and make some sort of difference, motivation, that sort of thing. I don't believe these odds, in the sense of I think De Zerbi could come in, but my gut feeling is there's a very limited chance that he is our next permanent manager, in the sense of it's yours for past the summer, because I still think now surely all roads point to one person who's kind of a little bit further down that list in the summer. So I think De Zerbi could come in. Who else is on this list? So if it's who's going to come in the next...
So it's De Zerbi, Heitinger, Poch, Keane, Xavi, Marco Silva.
Yeah, so who's going to... I think the first question we need to ask is who's going to just see us through to the end of the season. And I just don't see that Robbie Keane has got a job at Ferencvaros.
Yeah.
I can't see that someone like Xavi Hernandez would take a job for 3. I don't think he'd take our job at all, but for 3 months.
Can you imagine Xavi Hernandez coming in and going, sorry, what, you've got 11 fit players, you want me to keep you up with... Nah,
So Silva's in a job, so I can't see at this stage we are taking any manager for the rest of this season who's currently in a job elsewhere. I don't think that makes any sense at all. So you're left with picking out the ones who could come in. So that's why De Zerbi for me is the obvious one, because he's actually a proper bona fide manager.
Yeah.
And he's available. Yeah. And would he take it for 3 months? I don't know, but I don't instantly think there's no chance. Whereas I think with Xavi Hernandez, there's no chance.
Maresca?
Oh, I mean, we do love an ex-Chelsea manager.
Right.
I can't see it, but who knows?
But again, a guy that's got no... This is my worry, guys, right? Again, I've got to say this, sorry, because people don't listen. Not my worry of sacking Frank. It's my worry of moving forward, right? Is how many of these managers have got experience of being down there? So when people talk about, just bringing Xabi Alonso, you're like, whoa. Sure. Xabi Alonso, he ain't got this experience. His experience is winning Bundesliga and managing Mbappe and Bellingham, and So who is the guy, Dan? Like this is going to have to be more than tactical. This is going to need to be somebody that comes in and implements mindset, isn't it? This is going to have to be more about the mindset and the power of talking to people, rather than, hey, let's play tiki-taka, one-touch, front-footed football.
I mean, now it's the way we play football has got nothing to do with it. We just need to win. Simple as that. And whether it's dirty, whether it's clean, whether it's whatever way you want to describe it. I mean, who can you actually go in there and get in? It's like we said, who's going to want to actually take that job, who's got a full-time job at the moment? All right, money talks at the end of the day. And if someone knows they're going to get a significant amount of money, even if it's only for the next 3 months, whatever, there's people out there we can go for. But we have to get the right person in here, in the aspect, even if it is just, I'm looking at, we're more going to get a part-time manager as such and then go for the full-time manager next season. We got to get someone in who's got the mentality to do that job and got the mentality to also pass it to the players, that the players can actually look up to, not necessarily look up to, but take seriously.
I think that's so important. I think that's really important at this stage.
And I think that was a problem Frank might have had.
Yeah, I can understand that. There's only 3 names that I haven't instantly thought, nah. And that is De Zerbi, I think, could come in and potentially, I'm not sure. Like, he's literally just been sacked. Like, do you want by the end of the week you've been sacked at Marseille to be rolling up at another? I don't know. The next one after that for me is going to cause a bit of controversy, but I think is a name that people would respect. And is he the best manager? But he would, I think, lift everybody, would be Jurgen Klinsmann. Because I think, do we need someone right now who's the best manager in the world? We just need someone to give everybody a lift. And just seeing Jurgen Klinsmann back at the lane. I know you and me, Sava, and I'm sure Dan would be the same because we're at similar ages. Think of Klinsmann.
You know what? If someone like that, if he was to walk in, whether he's a great manager or not, if someone like Klinsmann did walk in, that'd be someone that the players would automatically respect to the extent of the history he's got as a player as such. It'd automatically have that bit of respect of like, yeah, that was Klinsmann, quality player. Okay, not the best story as a manager sort of thing, but you have that bit of respect.
But I think morale goes up, Dan. I think morale of the fans and the players goes up because they are so dejected, these players. Last night I was looking at them thinking, Tottenham is just a miserable, joyless existence for everybody. They are so used to losing every week.
Mate, can I be honest, Chris, though, as well? I know people don't like it when I go down this road, but I think we're also about to find out if these players are actually as good as some people think. Because you've got to remember, this new manager is still going to be coming into this forward line. And I'm sure you saw me put actually, you might have been coming home from the game, right? From the front 4 that all had game time yesterday, which is Tel, Odeberst, Solanke and Mawani. They've played 69 games between them, right? With 7 GA, right? 7. I kid you not. Now, if you had Xavi Simons, who's not a striker, but as an attacking midfielder, right? Xavi Simons adds to that. That's another 20 league appearances. That takes it to 89 league appearances, chaps, with 12 GA. So let's not be fooled. This new manager is still coming in to very little goals, very little creativity. He's got no fullbacks unless you really want to count Sosa, who everyone suddenly yesterday thought, oh my God, Sosa should play, some 19-year-old kid no one's ever seen, right? You've got no fullbacks fit. You've got the worst goalkeeper I've seen in between the sticks in the Premier League era for me. You've got Radu Dragusin, who's just come back from a year out injured, right? You've got no ball-playing midfielder anywhere in the team. Now, the only winger fit, let this sink in, is Tel. And the argument is, oh, he's not a winger, he's a striker. Guys, we've got to be really clear here that whilst this new manager can come in and put 20, 25% into them in belief and hope and promise, whatever it may be, those footballers are still the shit footballers that have lost 33 games in the last 64. They haven't suddenly overnight gone, oh, we're Pele. So this is a big, big thing for me, Chris, that are they as good, the players, as we make out? And I don't think they are. I think they'll stay up, but I don't think they are.
Dog's going mad. No, I think they're really poor. I think our standards have dropped so much as a fan base that I'm not knocking anyone. Like some people in the YouTube space I get on pretty well with, and I'm not going to mention names, but we know that there's certain people have been going like Tel's brilliant or Odebert's brilliant, and I think it just shows how far down our standards have gone. I think I might have someone at the door.
Yeah. Cool. No, go for it. I mean, look, Lubo, Give us your morning. I was asleep, mate. I was asleep.
Well,
he's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Baked potato. See you later.
He's gone. the family made the decision. I heard Vinay and Lang wanted to give him till the end of the season, and the family have come in and said enough. So
we're not giving. So Vinay's not the one sacking.
Which is logical because Vinay and Lang have sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks while it's been going downhill. So that does make sense. So there we go. So listen, either way, it had to happen. Said last night they had to get shot of him. It was the atmosphere in the grounds. Yes, last night was dreadful.
Yeah, sure.
Dreadful.
So,
it was like a funereal atmosphere in the ground. It was shocking. It was shocking. There was a little bit of singing, but very little. Until it was sacked in the morning. Then they probably heard it. God, they probably heard him singing that in Manchester. It was so loud. So
it's a shame they can't be that loud to cheer the team on, though, isn't it? It's a little bit of a shame that we've gone to only making noise when it's shit. But look, Lubo, I guess the question before I bring Dan back in, it's they've made this decision. It would seem they've made this decision without a plan in place, as always. Yes, there are 12 days. I believe, is it 12 or 11, depending on which way you look at it, between playing Arsenal. Are they going to take the easy road, in your opinion, and implement Johnny Heitinger? What does this mean for Frank's coaching staff? Because he brought a lot with him. And what does this change on the pitch, in your opinion? Just your opinion.
Okay, let's start with the manager. First question they've got to ask is, do they bring an interim or do they try and bring someone in as a full-time? So have they got any agreement in place with Pochettino for the summer? We don't know. My personal feeling is that it wouldn't surprise me if they do. Hence, you heard him on Jake Humphrey's podcast. That led me to think that maybe that he knows a bit more than all of us, and he is coming back. So if that's the case, then who do you bring in as an interim? I don't think they would stay with, I think, Heitinger at the moment until they bring in an interim. I think he'll be made interim. He'll be the caretaker interim manager. While they
what's he get out these players? What does he? We've got 11 fit outfield players.
That's right.
Three goalkeepers. This is
you can't change the players. You can't change the players, but you can change the style of play, the system that they play. That's what you can change.
Pray tell. With this 11, what style are you playing?
Well, listen, I just think they've got to move forward. Whenever Xavi was going forwards, there was hardly anybody up with him. That's just last night. That's just one situation where you could have players supporting a lot quicker. The transition being quicker, players coming forward, the back four bringing everybody forward quicker, players moving forward to support. You could have 6 or 7 going up with Simmons instead of 3. So there was hardly whenever he had the ball, you looked in the box and Solanke's on his own, surrounded by defenders. And you can't have that,
Isn't that what happens when you've got 3 defensive midfielders, so to speak, in midfield, no wingers? Like, isn't this a byproduct of the players that are available at this stage? Like, I'm all for you that we want to fly forward, but flying forward is what lost us 22 league games last year, Lubo. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but he's not going to play. He's not going to play 2 at the back and his fullbacks inverting as 10s, is he? So. That's not what I mean by flying forward. What I mean is, the old adage is you defend together, you defend as a team, you attack as a team. And we have too many players that are holding, that sit on the halfway line. And when we're on the ball, they don't go and support. So for me, we're always outnumbered. And virtually every time the attack breaks down and we score through set piece goals. You know, where are we going to get the goals from? We'll get the goals. You know, even if it's Romero and Van
no, you can't just say that.
It doesn't matter where we're going to get the goals from.
No, of course, of course it matters. Where though? I keep hearing everyone who says this says we'll get the goals, but where?
Well, they have to find a way. They have to find a way of doing it.
But the front five have got 12 GA between them in nearly 100 appearances. Where do these goals?
It's not the front five only that score the goals.
Linia's
got 5. Romero's got 6. Van der Ven's got 7. There's 18 goals. Does it matter if they score more goals between now and
you're missing the point.
I've got your point. No,
you really haven't.
On the goals.
You really haven't. How have Paulinho, Romero, and Van der Ven got their goals? Set pieces. I'm talking about from open play. Where are these goals coming from?
Well, maybe through attacking quicker and getting more players in support. There's a start.
Sure, but again, as I said to you yesterday,
and
I know
shooting from outside the box.
I know you're someone who hates evidence. I've after stringing with you for years, I know you hate data and evidence, right? But as I've said, when you look at these forward players and you're saying, oh, other people can score, cool. What, Sarr, Basuma, what, Gray, what?
Well, Gray scored 2, isn't he, in the last 7 games?
Right, sure, but again, from set pieces, we're talking about set pieces again. From open play, these players that we're saying, oh, if they attack better, I looked at their careers. These are not goal scorers. This is what I said to you in the summer when you told me not everything can be done in one window. And I said, yeah, but they've done nothing this window. This was my worry, that they've not added goals to this football team. Odegaard doesn't score goals. Tell doesn't score goals. Mawani doesn't want to be here and he's not scoring. Solanke's had 1 year in his career where he scored goals at the top level.
Solanke's doing okay. Solanke scored 9 in his last 10 starts for Spurs. So,
sure.
If we're talking evidence, there's evidence that Solanke scores mainly when he starts. So let's not start bashing him.
No. Lubo, for fuck's sake. No, Lubo, for fuck's sake. No one's bashing him. Stop. No. They're not your children. Stop taking it so personally.
I'm not, but you're dramating them. You're extreme in what you're saying. It doesn't
I'm giving you data.
We've just got to get 12 points from 12 games.
Tell me how I'm extreme in what I'm saying when I'm giving you the data to back it up. You hate
we don't score many from outside. From outside.
We don't score goals full stop.
But if you support players, if you get more players in the box, there's more chance of scoring goals from open play.
Sure, understood. So then when I ask you, why haven't these players done it elsewhere, then you go, oh, right? I don't get it. You get so offended if anyone says anything about a Spurs player. The fact is, they don't score goals. Odegaard in his career doesn't score. Tell hardly scores. Mawani is very hit and miss and doesn't want to be here. Solanke may have had a good run, but Solanke is another one that most fans didn't want to sign because he doesn't score regularly. So surely I'm allowed to say I'm worried about where the goals have come from. This was my worry in the summer.
Fine, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
But when has it happened? This is my point. Again, we're shifting all blame from the players because you rate some really average footballers.
You asked me how we're going to score goals. We're not talking about blaming players. We're talking about how we score goals to get us through the next 12 games.
We didn't buy what we needed to do that. Isn't that the fundamental problem here, that we didn't do what we needed?
But if you get more players in the box, you've got more chance of scoring goals.
Sure, but how many games this year you've seen where Spurs in the second half have been good and got players in the box? They can't hit a barn door. How many shots Tell had yesterday that dribble into the keeper's arms? Odegaard shot flying wide. Sarr shoots high over the bar. Mawani can't shoot straight. Simmons shoots wide. These aren't goal scorers. They're not goal scorers. I don't know how we still haven't worked out that we haven't bought what we needed. Like, I don't understand how we're looking at this 11 and going, a different manager gets these scoring loads from open play.
No one said loads. That doesn't need to be loads. It just needs to be enough to get the points to get us through, and then address it all in the summer. You don't need to be scoring 3s and 4s to win games. We just need to tighten up at the back and attack and play more as a team. They're wide open. They're just. I mean, Newcastle walked through at will yesterday. I mean, you get a different coach in who solidifies stabilizes the whole team, because there's so many gaps, so many players that are not making runs, not closing down. Again, same goals yesterday. Ball came in, Walker against for Burnley, and was it Trippier last night for the first goal? Exactly the same position. Nobody's out there closing down the cross. Little things like that. That
hasn't it been like this for 3 years though? Like as I said to you, right? When you look at this over 3 years, 3 calendar years, we sit 15th in the Premier League table over 3 years, right? At what stage we can blame Frank, we can blame Ange. Can we not at any point start to go, maybe all these players that don't make runs, that don't close down, that aren't good? Like I've heard for 3 years, Van der Ven and Romero are a brilliant partnership. They constantly show they're not a brilliant partnership.
Okay, so what do you want a new manager? Do you want the new manager to take that attitude and say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to get any more out of them. So what am I going to do?" No, that's not what I'm saying at all, Lubo. But again, I feel like we're not understanding. These players get the same excuse year after year after year after year, and we're told a different manager will change it. I was told a different manager changes Romero for the last 4 managers. I've seen the same shit from him for the last 4 managers, right?
Can I ask a question, Sava? I guess to Lubo, but just in general. Do we really think that Thomas Frank is sat there with things to say like that, Lubo, with the fullbacks not closing down, and he's sat there with all his analysis staff on the back of 6, 7, 8, 9 years at Brentford where players have done pretty well, and he's got and not one of them has identified that, you know what, the players aren't closing down quick enough, and that just another manager coming in can go, by the way, I know no one said this to you for the last 9 months, to maybe close the players down a bit quicker. Do we really think it's that simple that someone's going to come in and just?
They're not playing for him. They've switched off. They're not listening to him.
Did they play for the?
Isn't this something where
who are they playing for, Lubo?
Well, the players play for themselves these days. These days, for me, players are more mercenaries than they are football players who play because they love the game. Personal opinion, yeah. But you still expect them to do their job properly and know how to do their job. And like what we've happened with Ange, basically, when it came to the European Cup games, they basically played their way. Players have got their own brain. Now, even if the manager's telling them, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, surely a player's got the brain himself to well, maybe I should close that fella down because he's getting past me or getting about all the time. Or maybe you'd think a player's got the brain that, like the goalkeeper, I'm terrible at playing football, but I'm a good goalkeeper. But actually football, I'm terrible at controlling the ball and passing it out to the person next to me. So just boot it out when I have to, instead of doing what the manager's told me every time. Now and again, I think a player's got his own brain to do his own thing on the pitch. Or should have.
But the thing is, Dan, sorry, Chris, just quickly, my problem with it, I don't disagree with you, Dan. My problem with this is, we heard this at the end of the Conte era that they're not playing for him, right? Obviously, lots of players have moved on, but there's still some from the Conte era. We then heard that they're not playing for Ange. They're now not playing for Frank. Could it just be that this is how they play and they're not as good as we think? Because
how do you differentiate, Sava? A poor set of players put in the same performance as players who deliberately don't give a shit. But we always go to the latter. If we're seriously at the point where we have fully capable players, we talk about fullbacks closing down, who on their own standards are prepared to go out there and can't be bothered. We're in a world of bother that goes well past another guy coming in and going, can you please close your winger down? That is a much bigger issue than that. Much bigger issue. I don't see how the next guy fixes
Look
it.
at Vicario last night. Look at Vicario's positioning for the goal. Again, is Thomas Frank telling him not to stand like that? But we've seen that from Vicario for 3 years now. Like, you know, I just feel like, yes, Frank's gone. Managers will lose their job based on results. I've got no doubt about that. But again, my worry is we're now about to give a reprieve. You know we will, Chris. We're about to give a reprieve again to all the players that have thrown another manager under the bus, and it will be a new manager gets more out of them because they're not playing for him. They're not running for him. Well, they lost 22 games last season. They're currently on 11 losses this season, right? I've heard Romero and Van de Ven how great they are. Every time you watch them as a partnership, I just feel that they don't look like a partnership. Right, I keep hearing Adogi. When Adogi doesn't play, when Adogi does play, what the fuck does Adogi do? Can't create, doesn't get forward, can't cross a football. Lubo shakes his head, but the data shows.
I can't keep having the same discussion day after day after day after day. Frank has gone. Let's talk about the future. Why are we repeating the same subjects about this player's
Lubo,
that's player's play? What about talking about what going forward? How do we stay up? Who do we bring in?
Hang on. Sorry, hang on.
Not slagging Vicario. Vicario is the worst Premier League keeper you've ever seen in history, and who don't give a load of shit.
Emotional about the players.
I've heard you say this 100 times. I've come on to talk.
I'm not wrong.
Frank has gone.
And I'm not wrong.
Frank has gone. Can we change the subject? It's the same subject.
Lubo, sorry, Lubo.
The problem is, though, Lubo,
I'm not protecting players. The players aren't good enough. We know that. But how do we stay up?
With all due respect,
that's the important thing.
With all due respect, Lubo, for someone who says, "Can we change the subject?" You single-handedly blame Daniel Levy for everything, every single show I've ever watched you. You don't change the subject. So how dare you come on here and say to me, "Can we change the subject?" All you do is talk about Daniel Levy and shit footballers and praise them, right? So no. Right? No one's talking about Thomas Frank. I am now talking about the players. Thomas Frank has gone. My worry again is what we're going to do is what we did before. I've heard for years, Christian Romero, not his fault. It's the manager. Not his fault. It's his partner. Not his fault. He's a winner. Still here 4.5 years later going Christian Romero doing Christian Romero things. And that sums up the football club.
The difference here between you two is that it's going to come round to the players, Lubo, because with respect, sorry about the dogs, shut up. With respect, you've come on and basically said, just get a new guy in who's going to tell him to close down. Well, of course it's going to come back to the players because it's not that the level of simplicity in that argument is astounding. If Thomas Frank is the worst manager in history, I agree with you. I don't think he is. I think he'll go on to prove he's a pretty good manager again somewhere else.
Where they've got a plan.
It will be his time at Tottenham that is a failure, as it was for Conte, as
Mourinho.
it was for Mourinho, as it was for Nuno. But so that level of simplicity, when you go, just get the fullbacks to close them down, people are going to say, well, hold on, are the players capable of doing that? So the discussion about the players is unavoidable.
Chris, that's one part of it. We were just talking about how to improve things, and I talked about last night's first goal was a mirror image of the virtually of the Burnley goal that we conceded. That's just one example of how you close down. Frank did very well.
When I blame Vicario, you get upset.
Well, you know, because you just slate him off, whether he's good or not. You slate him off, Sam.
There's a huge difference between me not rating someone and you always thinking I'm slagging them off.
No, because you never actually say, I don't like Vicario, but he was bloody good today. He saved us from a cricket score at Old Trafford on Saturday.
Yes, I do.
You never hear that. Vicario's crap. He's crap.
Sorry, Lubo, you're saying I never say that. You're saying I never say that about players.
I very rarely, you know, for you, Gray is shit every single game. Gray's crap every game. No. Regardless.
And for you, Lubo, he's crap. Most of my chat yesterday going, God, Gray, he is weak. Look how easily his man must send off the ball. You sit there last night and go, I thought Gray had a really good game. So it works most ways.
Most of what was on here during the game was Gray deserved that goal. He's been playing well. He's had a really good second half. He's one of the few players that are out there actually trying. But you don't see that.
But this isn't a Sunday club. This isn't about trying. This is about quality and ability. Great
This
yesterday.
is what we've got. This is who we've got, Sam.
I know that. I'm the one telling you that this is who we've got.
But we have now got to have, I think, a manager. If Spurs can go to City and play the way they did, and play the way they did second half against City, play the way they did first half in Paris in the Champions League, then I'm sorry, these players, you can get more out of them, because if they can play like that in those games.
Cool. So why are we 15th over 3 years if you can get more out of them?
If it's 45 minutes, then those players should be good enough for 45 minutes against Sunderland, 45 minutes against Bournemouth, 45 minutes against Brentford.
So can you answer my question? If these players are good enough, and Danny Kaye always says this, there's a difference between raising your game for a half of football and be able to do it consistently. The players that do it consistently play for the top teams because they're the best players. The reason why our players don't do it consistently is they're not good enough. Over 3 years, Lubo, from last night to last night, so that is the 10th of February 2023 to the 10th of February 2026, this team has averaged 15th in the league and only 2 clubs below them. Why, if these players are better and can get more out of them? I didn't like Ange, but I fail to believe that Ange and Frank are both so crap that these players just get off the hook and somebody else can get more out of them. Now, don't get me wrong. What you'll do, I can tell you a million miles. If a new manager comes in and we have a new manager bounce, we'll go, there you go. There you go. But over a period of time, these players have shown for 3 years, Lubo, they can't do it.
Right. Say Klinsmann comes in tomorrow. Say, come and talk to me. What are you going to do? You're going to tell him this one shit, that one shit, that one shit, that one shit. You won't get anything out of them. You won't get any more out of them because they're bad players. Is that what you would?
That's not what I said.
No, I'm asking a question.
Did you listen to what I just asked you?
A question. Because
I
it's
just
fine.
said to you.
Fine, the players are not good enough. How are we going to get out of this shit?
Over a short period of time, you might get that. That's called a new manager bounce. That is why some managers go into a club and they go, boom. Thomas Frank had it at Spurs. Ange had it at Spurs, right? Jose had it at Spurs. What happens after these managers have their initial manager bounce? It goes boom, 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 boom. And they settle back to being what they are because that is their default as footballers. Lubo, I'll ask again, and I know you don't answer direct questions, but if Tottenham's players were better and more could be got out of them every week, why for 3 years are we 15th in a Premier League table over something like 120 games? Why?
Well, I think part of that was down to a horrendous way of playing with Postecoglou.
Okay.
I don't think that helped the players. That left us wide open. But listen, the players aren't good enough. If the players were good enough, we'd be third, fourth every single season like Postecoglou, like Pochettino. But all I'm interested in, personally, we debated about the players every single day virtually for the last couple of years. But at the moment, today's been a significant change at the club. Frank has gone. Hopefully we can now stop this downward spiral. And the only thing that I'm interested in is how we get out of this shit this season. In the summer, maybe Pochettino will come in and he'll say, right, I need 12 new players. Fantastic. Go and get 12 new players, clear out 12 players because the players aren't good enough. But at the moment, all that counts is what goes on between now and Everton on the 25th of May.
Lubo, I agree with you. But the thing is, it seems like in all of this, when you can turn around off the cuff and go, oh, I agree the players aren't good enough. But these same players that aren't good enough keep going out there for different managers, keep showing they're not good enough. And then we keep going, oh, somebody else will get more out of these. And when no one does get more out of these players, no one can turn around and go, yeah, these players aren't good enough.
Well, I'm sure the next manager will see that.
But said that
at the end of the day,
manager.
But at the end of the day, he's only got the transfer window's closed now, so he's only got the players he's got, and the rest and the injured players will come back in dribs and drabs over the next 3 months, 2 months. So they have got to get more out of these players or will go down.
That is the manager's job at the end of the day. I mean, I think the way you're looking at it is whether the players are that good, this good, not good, whatever. The manager's job at the end of the day is to get the best out of him, get the best out of them, what they can. Has he been getting the best out of them?
I think he did.
I've seen them very good. I've seen them very good in a game or two, and I've seen them very poor in a majority of games.
And that's because they're shit players.
I wouldn't go that far.
Dan, can I ask
but
you?
I don't think
when you watch this forward line, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we have to put out a forward line of Tell, of Odeber, right? When you Mawani, at any point in any game, do you go, cool, these boys can grab me goals. These boys will terrorize a fullback. These guys will get the ball out, shift it out their feet and rifle it in the top corner?
Not with the ones you just said, no. I mean, I think this is one. Can we actually look at this? And this is one, as far as I'm concerned, this usually is an excuse. But we have had a lot of injuries this season and big-time injuries that ain't just 5 minutes as well. If we've got our full squad out there, I think that's the other question you could ask. Would we have performed better? Would he have got better? But then you look at last season, we ended up 17th as well. So I can see both sides on this one. I do think this team is better than bloody 15th or relegation. But I don't think
people.
Than the
Do
top
you know what,
eight.
Dan? I'll say this: people keep misinterpreting when they say team and squad. Right?
Bang on.
This is the problem. Right? The team right now is nowhere near good enough. Right? The team right now for majority of this season is where it deserves to be, in my opinion. Right? They are not good enough. We have players in clubs like Brighton that we take their strikers over the ones that we've got right now. That's pathetic, right? If we're talking about the squad, right, when fit, I could not agree more. I've been saying this all season. When that squad is fit, we are a top 7 team. I do not doubt that one bit.
Agreed.
But when they are unavailable, like they are and have been for majority of this season, especially in attack, I cannot see what people are seeing. I cannot. That's just me.
I get where you're coming from, and I agree with what you've
said.
I agree with what you've said, and it's basically what I was saying. With the injuries we've had, I think injuries, you can actually put that as part of the problem this year. And I'm not usually one to use injuries as an excuse.
Do you know what, Dan?
But these injuries this year have been horrendous. There is no two ways about it.
I agree. I was also one of the ones last year saying that the injuries affected Ange a lot, and everyone was slating me saying, "Oh, it's excuses, injuries." But the problem is that's the reality.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
The reality. When we've got that many injuries, if we sit here and take out 13 players from Man City or Arsenal, they are nowhere near where they are right now.
No, do you know what, Dan? I'll make you right, and I'll step back on that one. I was one of the ones who was saying, "No, the injuries ain't the problem. It's all down to Ange." I'll make you right there. I'll step back.
Yeah, I think I was too harsh as well, Dan. I think I was too harsh on that as well. Yeah,
I think most of us were. The thing I think last season, though, is I think a majority of the injuries you could actually put onto Ange because it was the way he played them.
That I agree with.
And I think that's maybe why I might have looked on it like, well, no, I didn't think the injuries were the main problem. But then you look at it this year as well, and then you look at it last year, when you've got that many players out, it is going to make a difference. No two ways about it.
Of course.
And I agree with what you said. And last year, but I'll stick to the point of, I think a majority of the injuries we got last season was down to the way Ange played them, basically.
Yeah.
Because they were exactly the same injuries that happened at Celtic and everything else, with the way they had to run from the halfway line and back about 10 times every game on a full sprint.
You even saw it
do your
at
hamstring.
Dan at the beginning of the season. How many players were getting hamstrings and
this
muscles?
season? Can you put it on that the injuries have come down to the way we play football and everything else? No, it's just been in that aspect. It's just been shit luck basically this year with the injuries. It's just I don't think it's no one in particular's fault. Whereas last year, I think Ange was a big part of the injuries. But it does make me look at it this season now with what's happened with the injuries. And I don't use injuries as an excuse. It does make me have that yeah, maybe I did go a bit too harsh on Ange that we should be doing better. Injuries don't matter, and that yeah, they do.
You know what?
And
Though,
that's
Dan?
not.
You've got to have goals in your team, right? And I think the one thing again, I don't want to make an Ange v Frank debate because I feel that both can look and feel they've been hard done by. Like,
Yeah, agree.
I didn't like Ange, right? But look at the summer window they gave Ange in his second season was absolutely disgraceful, right?
Yeah,
and then they followed that up in the January with a centre back, right? And you're like, so from that point of view, whether I liked Ange as a manager or not doesn't mean I think that the board backed him or whatever. Now, whether you like Frank or not, it's the same thing. The one thing I will say is the difference is Ange lost a lot more defenders, right? I think we can go along with that. He lost a lot more defenders, but he also didn't try to counter that, did he? He just kept playing two at the back. This year, we've currently got 3 of our back 4 out, right? We've got all of our goals and creative players are out injured other than Xavi Simons and Solanke. And you're sitting there going, people are going, he's got to attack more. You've got to fly forward more. And I'm looking and going, but with who? Like, it's all right when people like Lubo so get bodies forward. Who? Basuma, that's not his game, right? Sarr, that's not his game. Tell is awful. Odegaard is a very poor footballer. Solanke, for me, I've always said Solanke is capable of moments, but in general, I don't think he's a great footballer. So when we're going forward, I'm looking at these players. I don't see what some of these other fans see. I'm looking at them and going, you are awful. Like, you are awful. Yesterday, right? Second half, we had attacks. We had shots. But it was so mediocre and weak and skies every shot. That's not on Thomas Frank. Mawani doesn't shoot. That's not on Thomas Frank. And again, this isn't whether Frank should have gone or not. We're now on the section where we're talking about the player's ability.
Can I ask Lubo a question?
Yeah, go for it, man.
I take your point, Lubo, to some extent around get someone in who you're obviously not keen on the tactics, inverted commas, that Thomas Frank has done.
No.
I'm just trying to understand, how is the conversation any different today than it was the day Ange was sacked? Did we not have the same conversation then around just get someone in who can have better tactics and these players will be better? Is that not exactly what we tried to do with Thomas Frank? And
yes, it is.
So if that is the case, how do we know? We've gone for a guy who's proven it over 6, 7, 8 years at Brentford. I know it's a lower club.
Chris, I'll answer that.
How do we then identify the guy who can do it at Tottenham if Thomas Frank
I'll answer that very simply about Frank and Brentford. I think we looked at it, and honestly, I think we all overrated him because Matthew Benham has put in a fantastic system. He's brought in a fantastic system, and it's the collective.
I've got to challenge that. I've got to challenge that.
And
so
hang on,
that system predated Thomas Frank. So why was it not working when Thomas Frank took over a mid-table championship team?
Hang on one second. Matthew Benham put in a system and brought in one by one Frank, Cochrane, not Cochrane, all the other guys in that team. And over 7 years, they put together a really good system that was built on data analysis. And Frank has gone, but Brentford haven't suffered, have they?
Yeah, but
Frank was a successful part of a team, with most managers.
So is Poch overrated? Is your love of Poch overrated?
And Brighton is. Hang on one second. Brighton is exactly the same. That's been built with the same sort of model, where manager goes out, another manager comes in. Doesn't really affect it too much, does it? Conte went out. We had Stellini and Mason. We got 10 points or 9 points in 10 games.
Sorry. This is so disingenuous. Hang on.
Look, that's horrible, Lubo.
Hang on. This is so disingenuous. This is where you start to see agendas, right?
No.
So manager,
I've supported Frank all the way along.
So manager has 7 very successful years at a football club, right? As the manager, yes, part of a wider network, but as the manager. And then what we do is knock that and go, yeah, but it's not Frank, it's the system. Manager comes into a place where there is no setup. There is no plan. There is no scouting. There is no identity. And we go, oh, look, he's failed here, so he must have been overrated from there, right? If you actually think about it, right, Keith Andrews, right now, by the way, Lubo, if Keith Andrews loses to Arsenal next week, Thursday, tomorrow, right, they are worse off for points than this time last year under Frank. So for all the people going, they're so much better under Andrew. No, what's happened is, and again, this is where you cannot like Frank as a manager, but to knock what he did, he has left that club in a really good position.
Terrible.
Him, his scouts, his coaches,
all of them. All of them.
Yes, but hang on. He has left that club in a good position, right? That's his squad that they're playing with. They are his footballers, barring 2 or 3. They are his footballers that they are playing with. That is the squad that Thomas Frank built over a number of years, right? Now, all of a sudden, because Keith Andrews hasn't dropped off, we go, there you go. He's shit. That's the same thing.
Didn't say he's shit. Didn't say he's shit.
Hang on. All right. Forget the words. Who cares? Stop being pedantic.
Words are what people listen to.
Okay. We overrated him because Keith Andrews has picked up and carried it on, right? That's the same thing as saying, right, that if Pep Guardiola leaves Man City, and Maresca has them in a title race, that's the same as you turning around and going, well, we've really overrated Pep Guardiola and all the work he's done at Man City.
Exactly.
It's the football club. It's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing, Lubo.
It's the exact same thing.
Yes, it is.
Does anyone here think, overall, looking back now, that Frank has done a good job at Spurs?
No,
we're not talking about Spurs.
That's not what we're talking about, Lubo. At Brentford, right? Do you know what? I was speaking to a Brentford season ticket holder at the weekend, right? And this season ticket holder said to me, do you know what? He said, our club is so brilliantly run and has been for a decade. He said it is so, he said it is so brilliantly run. When we bring in players, we know what players they're bringing in. We know they're bringing them in for the formula. They come in with the right ethos. They've been scouted brilliantly. We coach brilliantly. We've got succession plans. He said, our club is well drilled and well oiled, right? Lubo, you hate Enoch because they've done the exact opposite to Tottenham. So Thomas Frank has left an environment where he's built this with his staff. Everything is great, right? He comes into Spurs for 7 months where it's an absolute shit show. And we go, yeah, he's overrated at Brentford. Maybe, just maybe, it was that Brentford had a really good working and a really good way of system that Thomas Frank was a part of. Right? Maybe. We can't just discredit the great work that he did at Brentford for 7 years because Spurs are a shit show. Can we?
Listen, he hasn't been able to step up to do this job. The rest of it is a shit show, but as far as he is concerned, and the way he has set the team up, looking back over the last 7 months.
How do we know it's Thomas Frank, though, when this is happening with every manager?
He's been here 7 months. This club's been like this for about 2 decades. Like, what are we doing?
I do think that Frank might not have quite had the mentality to go up to a club significantly bigger than what he had. Reason I say that is because I do think there is more points we could have had this season if he wouldn't have gone into certain games at the start of the season with the attitude of, I don't want to lose. Now, obviously, we all have an attitude you don't want to lose a game, yeah? But there's a difference for me between I don't want to lose and I want to win. I think there's a few games he could have gone in with more of a winning attitude than of being scared of losing.
Yeah, Dan, I don't doubt that. But the whole point was, we're saying that over a 7-year period, right, Thomas Frank has picked up a team bottom half of the championship that were favourites to go down from the championship.
Oh, he's done brilliant at Brentford. I think he was. That's why I wanted him at Spurs. He was my third choice.
But the point is, at Spurs, we won't. I'm not saying for Frank. I'm just saying in general. The difference is Brentford built something. Brentford have built an ecosystem where managers can thrive. Spurs don't. And what will happen? Again, people like Lubo, sorry, I'll call it out. What will happen? The next manager in 7 months, if the next manager hasn't got us flying in that top 6, we'll go, he's not big enough for a club like us. What club like us? What are we, Lubo? We are shit. We've been shit for years. What club like us?
If this argument over Frank is a runner, then does that mean that we can only appoint managers from shit shows of clubs who are run badly? Because what's the point in appointing a manager from a club that's run well if it's just the system around them and it's nothing to do with the manager?
No, but Chris, let me further clarify. I thought when Frank came, and Brentford were favourites to go down, if you remember, with the bookies.
When he left, biggest budget.
Do you remember Brentford were favourites to go down, and Buemo had gone, Visser had gone, Frank had gone, virtually the whole of Frank's team had gone. And the bookies
they've been the favourites to go down in most seasons when Frank was there as well, though.
Well, no, they weren't.
Yes, they were. Oh,
they were.
Yes.
They were.
Yes,
Lubo,
They were never in the relegation zone.
Changing
Because
They were never in the relegation zone, but they were the 19th biggest budget in the league. They were favourites every year.
Chris, I thought Frank was more. I thought he had more influence on how good Brentford were rather than the collective. And that was my mistake. I've since learned. Hang on.
The system was already there under Dean Smith that had got them to the middle of the championship. The system was already there. Thomas Frank takes over mid-championship, turns them into a mid-table Premier League club, and we go, well, that's not Thomas Frank. Well, how come Dean Smith couldn't do it?
Mad.
Yeah, exactly.
The revisionism is scary.
It's ridiculous.
Right. The revision is okay. By that metric,
I'd like an answer to that from Lubo. How come Dean Smith couldn't do it?
Just quickly, Chris. By that
Dean
metric,
Smith was doing a good job there, Chris.
Yeah, because of what Thomas Frank
Championship.
did. Because of what Thomas Frank built over 7 years. He just took
Fine.
up. He
If
couldn't.
everyone's
I
happy
don't
with
think.
it,
I don't think
everyone's
Dean
happy with it,
Smith
they're happy.
could do what Thomas
so
Frank did
Poch
at
is-
Brentford.
Is Poch overrated? Is Poch overrated?
Is Poch overrated? No,
Everyone
I don't.
loves
I don't think
Poch.
he is. I don't think he is overrated.
Okay, so everyone loves Poch. Poch went in Spurs, had a good spell. Couldn't we apply the same thing as what you're saying about Thomas Frank at Brentford?
I think Frank had a great support system around him, as I
He
said.
built a lot of it, and he built a
Sorry?
lot of that. He built a lot of that.
Did he? Or was that Matthew Benham's system? We don't
so-
know,
so-
Sam. You're talking like you know what you're
Hang on,
talking like
you're-
you run
no,
Brentford.
You're the one talking like you know.
The proof of the pudding is that Frank's gone and Keith Andrews has that system and Brentford haven't suffered. So I don't
Because-
think...
But that doesn't work for Dean Smith, who had the same system and couldn't get them out of the championship.
Oh my God, this is so stupid.
I've got to go. Do you know what?
That's so
Do you know what?
hypocritical.
I came on really happy. All I faced is aggression. It's
No,
enough.
you're-
I've got to go anyway.
You're
Seriously.
regret. What?
No,
Aggression.
everything I say you shoot down. Everything. Frank has
We're
not been good enough
debating,
for Tottenham.
Lubo.
He's not
Hang
been
on,
good enough
Lubo.
for Tottenham. End of. Finish.
We know
He's
that.
not been good
No,
enough for Tottenham.
we know that. Hang on, Lubo.
He hasn't
you
stepped up. He
You
hasn't
get as
stepped
aggressive as everyone else, so don't
No.
play that card, right?
I've
Stop
got to
playing
shoot.
that
I've got to head out.
You get aggressive like everyone else does, so don't do that card like you're hard done by, right? You're the one that's now revising history. That now the 7 years of Thomas Frank. Oh, it wasn't to do with him, right?
It
Cool.
was part to do with him. I didn't say it
Okay.
wasn't him. I said
Okay,
it was the
sure.
collective. It was the
Sure.
collective.
Sure. Right.
That's what I
But
said.
again, isn't this what happens when you build something? So, for example, whoever has built up Facebook, right? Whoever's built up Facebook, if Mark Zuckerberg leaves Facebook now, the next guy coming in would go, oh, Mark Zuckerberg wasn't actually that great as a founder of a tech company. No, he's built it. Somebody takes it on. Thomas Frank and his staff have left a brilliant culture, a squad that have played together for years, right? An ethos, a strategy. And we go, and your theory is because it's not fallen apart at the seams after 6 months, that it couldn't have been Thomas Frank being a good manager.
I didn't say that. I said that I thought Frank was much bigger than the whole position, but it's not him. I thought Brentford would fall apart when Frank left,
But
but
why?
they didn't because it's the
Why would they
collective.
fall apart?
Because managers are massive when it comes to running a team. They
I
are massive.
thought Brentford would fall to pieces without him as well. I thought he was a
Why?
massive part of Brentford.
Thank you, Dan.
Because that's
Thank
what I
you.
thought. I just thought
This
they
isn't
would.
what
I thought
happens
he
when
was
you
a main
build
part
a.
of it.
This isn't what
No,
happens when you build a
maybe not.
It doesn't.
But it's just
hang
an
on,
opinion
structures
that I
don't
thought
fall
they would.
apart overnight. Yeah, but this is crazy. Structures don't fall apart overnight because one man leaves. If it's
But managers
well
can make a massive difference if he's doing a very good job and got the respect of the team. I personally thought that Brentford would fall apart without him, and they haven't. Fair play. It shows that he
doesn't
wasn't
it show
as
that
much
what
of a
they
massive
built?
part.
But doesn't it
Yes,
show
that's what I
what
just
they
said.
built
That's
was
what I'm
really
saying.
was really
That's what I've
good?
literally just said. I'll
let's-
say it again. I thought Brentford were going to fall apart without him. No, they haven't, and it shows
Why?
that he was a big part of it. But there was obviously a lot more on the club side. What made them what they are? I personally thought they would, and they've showed me they haven't because of other reasons, because of what you're saying. I'm agreeing with both of you.
It's called a
Yeah,
collective.
Let's move it on
It's
from
collective,
Brentford
it's
a little bit.
collective.
Let's move it on. What I'd like to know is, what are we supposed to do now if we've gone to the best managers in the game? That didn't work. We've gone to managers who have built things over years at other clubs and it's worked there, and that hasn't worked. We've gone to out and out attacking managers. That hasn't worked. We've gone to defensive managers. That hasn't worked.
It's true.
What
We've gone to
is
winners.
it we are
We've gone
supposed
to
to do
winners.
now?
That hasn't worked.
It's true. You're right. You're right. Where do you go now? That is the question. When it comes down to the crunch of it, we all know what the
They're
massive
all not good
main
enough.
problem is.
We
Chris,
got our
And the other
Tottenham
thing
back.
is, what sort
We
of
got
manager
our
are we
Tottenham
going to
back.
get? Because as far as I'm concerned, who even looks in a professional way, in a football way, of Spurs as a big club now, apart from the money? I know we're not an elite club, and technically, money-wise, and a lot of other things, we're a big
Dan, I
club.
agree with you.
But who even looks at Spurs as a big club now on the football side? This
Dan,
is going to
I
be 2
agree with
seasons
you.
under
Good
15.
question, Chris. Good question, because the Lewises, Enoch, have only got one card left up their sleeve, and that's
I kind of
Pochettino.
agree with that. Yeah.
And that's Pochettino. He's the only card left they've
I've
got.
said that in for a
Emotion.
little while now, that I think Poch is about the only one they can bring in now, which will give them that extra breathing space if it doesn't go right as such, where a majority of fans will give him that extra time that they haven't give Frank or they wouldn't give Ange. There's still going to be other fans that don't and everything else and that, but I think Poch is the one that would buy extra time.
But
Would
we've
he
got to
do the
have
job?
same
Would he
energy,
get
right,
enough?
Dan? Got to have the same energy.
I totally agree. But there'd be a lot of
Sitting in this
people.
position, I want the Lubos to go,
No, but that's what I'm saying, Sava. There will be a lot of people.
Same energy, right?
There will be a lot of. That's what you should do. But then the word "should" at Spurs is a very used word.
Agreed.
What it will be with Poch is there will be a significant amount of people, in my opinion, that would be sitting here now, instead of saying the problems is the owner, the manager, and the players. With Poch there, I think you'd have a significant amount of people turn around and say, right, it's the owners that is the problem. Full stop. Again, just an opinion.
Sure, but Dan, can I tell you where I find a lot of this hypocritical is the people that are so Enoch out, they've destroyed our club, blah, 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 then turn around and can't understand why managers struggle with the infrastructure that's been built for them. Like, it's on one hand, right? Now, this is the problem, right? Dan, I've agreed with you all of the while you said this, right? We don't agree on everything, me and you, Dan, do we? We definitely don't agree on everything. But I agree with you on this. When fans say he's not a Spurs manager, he's not big enough for Spurs, for this club, you've said all along, well, what are we now? We're not a big club now. What are we? And let me show you some evidence. I know people don't like it. Let me show you this, right? This is Tottenham Hotspur, right? Since the start of the 23 season, right? That is Tottenham since the start of the 23 season. So that's 3 years, right? 102 games, 45 defeats, right? And look, we're below Palace. We're below, you know, that shitty club that Thomas Frank built that Lubo said? There you go, Fulham. We're below them. Brentford, we're below Fulham. We're below Bournemouth. We're below Brighton, right? Obviously, Sunderland, you've got a pinch of salt because they've literally just come up, right? So the only clubs that have been there for that 3-year period are Everton, Forest, West Ham, and Wolves, right? Now, we could take this one further. This is since the start of the 21-22 season, right? So this is going back, what, now 5 seasons? Spurs are 9th there. So you look at it, over the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, Spurs are going one way. Spurs are going one way. We are not this top club that people keep talking about. The job's too big for Frank. What does that mean?
I've
What does it
agreed
mean?
that for me, we've never been an elite club. We have never been up there with the real big boys, yeah? But we have been a big club. I mean, Lubo was the one who put the phrase right for me where I've been saying we've never been a big club or whatever. He's been right on putting me right on the way I put it. We've never been an elite club. As far as I'm concerned, elite clubs win leagues. They win Champions Leagues, or at least have a significant amount of leagues to their name. We have as many leagues to our name as bloody Derby City, for God's sake. But we have been a big club, and money-wise, you can say we're up there with the elite clubs. Supporters-wise, big clubs. Everything else, big clubs. But the way we're doing it now, who's even going to look at Spurs and say we're a big club now? Seriously. That's going to be 2 seasons now that it looks like we're going to be under 15. And what manager is seriously going to look at Spurs and say, yeah, that's a big club, I want to go there, unless the thing we can use as a big club, the thing we can use ourselves as an elite club is money, because that is all we have now. And money does do talking. But then when you're not even considered a big club now, it's going to be a lot of money that has to do the talking.
Man, how bad is that?
Go on, Sav. I've got to show. I'll probably, if you're still on in about an hour or so, I'll join you. I've just got to pop out for an hour.
All right, mate.
But how many of these players, if someone, you're right, when I came in, you were talking about Klinsmann. How many of these players in the dressing room would look up to someone like Klinsmann?
Not a lot.
How many of them?
I
How
think
many of
they
them
would.
will really
Not a lot.
remember that era? Like,
Not a lot.
They might look up to him, but
Not
In a way that they don't look up to Thomas Frank. Unfortunately.
and the way they looked up to Conte, when they were
or
losing
Jose
week after week,
Mourinho, or
Jose,
Pochettino,
or
all
when
of
they
them.
started
Players
losing
like-
week after week. Like
players like Kane didn't do so badly with Jose. Look at what Jose.
Yeah, but
did.
look what happened when he had Nuno.
You pick the world class player. Wow. Like, what do you mean, Kane?
Well,
Came down tools when Nuno was the manager. Just remember that.
yeah, he did. He wanted out, didn't he? He wanted to go to City
then
because
as soon as Conte
because the
came
owners
in-
weren't ambitious, and he had more ambition than them.
But then what
Thanks,
happened when
lazy
Conte
guys.
came in? See you later, Lubo.
I just look, guys. I again, this isn't about whether he should have stayed or not. I think we all agree he shouldn't. But this is about looking at the actual state of the football club. This is 3 years. This is 3 years. And we are still going, oh, we need a top manager. We need a this. The club is run so badly. And yet this is what annoys me. And I say this to Lubo. Lubo spends all his time convincing everyone that ENIC have destroyed Tottenham, right? They've destroyed Tottenham, but yet thinks managers are going to come in and be miracle workers after 6 to 7 months with the club that's been destroyed. Are we just going to do this again? Or are we literally now just going to do the nostalgic thing of going, yeah, it's Pochettino because that makes everybody happy and we're not actually going to concentrate on what the issues are at this club?
It's the only manager I see that we could possibly get that would keep fans happy for a certain amount of time. Would he improve things? Only time will tell on that one. I just don't know anymore. Maybe you just need the manager in there who can give the players the right mentality as well. Maybe some are better at it than others. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. But maybe it would be the one that comes through. He gets that extra bit of time and then it gets to this point. And instead of just going 100% on the manager, it actually would make people look over that maybe more than 100 people need to turn up at a bloody protest. With basically 100, let's be nice and say 150 of us standing there, and 55,000 people walking past us, just totally irrelevant to the situation.
Listen, I'll say for people in the chat saying, Savra, I don't get it. Do you just not want a manager? They're not listening. Honestly, Chris said at the beginning of the show, it's so difficult to talk nuance with people. I am trying to turn around and say we can all pine for the world's best managers, but we've done that. We bought Conte in. Nothing changed. He got fourth, but nothing changed from a club perspective. We bought Jose in. Nothing changed. Poch had a great period, but nothing changed. Ange won a trophy. Nothing changed. Frank, nothing's changed. Again, if my point is, if we're not seeing, and I'm so done to death with this conversation, if we are not seeing that it's these guys up here, not Chris, I'm pointing upstairs in the Spurs hierarchy, right? If we are not seeing, if we are not seeing that they are not implementing a structure and a philosophy for any manager to succeed long term, right? We are going to go round in circles. We can talk about, doesn't Klinsmann get 20% out of them? Based on what in his managerial career? Like, are we just going to go now by who's popular? If that's the case, stick Ledley King in there, right? If that's the case, that's all that's needed, stick Ledley King in there.
For the long run, it's more than that needed. I'm just more bothered about the next 12 games than I am about the long run at the moment. Next season, at this moment in time, next season, I couldn't give a monkey's about it. I'm more bothered about the next 12 games. And if it is someone like Klinsmann who could come in, or a big player that has got a bit of history that the players would actually maybe give that 10%, 20% energy for because they've got actual respect for the person, then go and bloody do it. I'm more bothered about the next 12, the short run, than the long run at the moment, because I think the short run is more important than the long run at the moment. Obviously, we need to look at the long run, and until it's new owners or the owners change their mind on how they do things, nothing's ever going to change. But at the moment, it's not even the long run we need to look at. It's the short run where we're in trouble at the minute.
Dan, I don't disagree with you. I feel like I've not once said, right, listen, again, what I've noticed is when things like this happen, right, as a fan base, we straight away go into the point scoring. Straight away, most of the fan base go into the point scoring rather than actually caring about the football club. My worry is not Thomas Frank. My worry is I don't trust them to get this right in the short or long term. I don't trust them to get this right. Now, they might get an interim in, Dan, who we trickle over the line because we get a couple of wins between now and the end of the season, which we might have done anyway, but who knows? But I've just hit this limit now where it doesn't matter what happens. We still sit at the end of every manager sacking, and the deflection is always away from what the bigger problem is. We're all guilty of this, Dan, by the way. I'm guilty of this. We're all guilty of this. But again, you watch how many people are happy. No one's talking about Enoch. No one's talking about the disgraceful transfer window. No one's talking about the lack of backing. Do you know what I mean? This is what we do. And we will go and get an interim in. Like, if we get a Robbie Keane in, people go, oh, Robbie Keane, like, and we forget the bigger picture. And I'm bored of it.
I think pretty much a majority of people can accept that Enoch is the problem. And nothing is going to change until they go or until they change, which they ain't going to change, no matter what manager we get in there. But you do look on it, could a different player possibly get more out of it? You're not going to know until another manager comes in. Over the past 2 seasons, it hasn't looked like it. What we need now is a manager who can come in and get something out of these players of what he has got, because he's going to know what he's stepping into. It's not going to be stepping into total random. He's going to know there's a majority of injuries there. He's got about 12 players to pick in that 11 team, and then he's going to have to use kids. He's going to know what he's got to do. And basically, we just need to get that short-term manager in there now who can, whether you want to use the phrase trickle like you did or get right into it, or either way, get that honeymoon period out of us to make sure we don't go down. I don't think we go down, but it's not impossible. We are only 5 games clear, and we have got, 2 wins in 17, is it? 2 wins in 18, something like that?
2 in 17, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the short-term thing I'm looking at now, like I said to you. And we need someone in who I think has got more the mentality to at least try and hype the players up to get them over the line, basically. That is the manager's job, full stop. Some managers are better off at sorting out the tactics, this and that, but not so good on a man-to-man sort of thing. Others will be like Redknapp, who knows his side with the tactics, but he's significantly better on the man-to-man basis, which can actually mean a hell of a lot. The man-to-man side of it can mean a hell of a lot. If you could, you might not have the best tactics in the world, but if you can get your players' mentality up that extra 10%, you can get more out of them.
Sure, but they've got to have the ability to get more out of them in the first place, right? This is the point. This is why when I bring this up, the half of me bringing this up is I keep hearing that we can get more out of them, more out of them, more out of them. If we look in the last 102 games, we've won 38 of them. Like, you know, we've lost 45 of those 102 games. Like, you know, you push it on. I mean, look, this is over, you know, over 5-6 seasons. I keep hearing all these. I'll be honest. I'm sorry if this offends anyone. I keep hearing all these buzzwords like, you know, can we get more out of them? And this is the manager's job. And this is, but I'm seeing it with the same players, and I'm seeing the same results with the same players and different managers. I just think the whole thing needs a cull. I know that can't happen between now and the end of the season, but I think the whole thing needs a cull, and I think everyone needs to stop. Look how sentimental people get. Look how sentimental Lubo gets if you say a player isn't good at Tottenham. Look how protective we are over very average footballers. You're slagging them off. All right, cool. Keep them all then. Keep them all. If you don't want them to be, critiqued, keep them all. But
no, on the sentimental side,
I don't think they're good.
I agree on the sentimental side. I've been saying this for 2 years now since I've been on there. I think this fan base is extremely sentimental, very sentimental, basically. But again, the next manager we get in, whether it's short-term, long-term manager, he needs to look at the short-term, and we need a manager who can get more out of these players. Can a manager even get more out of these players? We won't know until another manager comes in there and tries doing it. Can it be done? It hasn't looked like it over the past 2 seasons. Dan, but if, hang on a sec, if there isn't a manager that can go out there or anyone that can get, let's say, 10% more out of these players, then what was the point on even getting rid of Frank, or what's the point on even getting a new manager? That's what you get the manager for. Can he do it? That's a different question. But that is what you're doing it for.
I want to ask you, what does getting more out of these players mean to you?
Getting more out of them. I mean, up front, we're a total mess, and injuries have done us no favors at all. But what I mean by getting more is you go into that game and you give it that extra bit of fight that you want to win. There's been too many times I've seen players on that pitch that just sort of like they shrug their shoulders to it, basically, instead of give it that extra bit of effort, which they should be doing anyway. It's their bloody job on that, whether they don't do it or not. But that is a manager's job to try and get them to do that.
So
can we get a manager to get them to do it? I don't know.
Well, is there not an argument then to say that we did it against Man City in the second half? We did it against Brighton in the second half. Yeah. We've done it multiple times this season in the second half, but we can't do it for 90 minutes, or we can only do it in one half or in patches, right? To me, that's not a manager issue. That's a player issue. That's an application issue, right? I'm sorry, I can't agree with that, Dan. And I love you, right? But I can't agree with that because
not tonight, man.
For me, man. For me, honestly, when I used to play football, right, I didn't need no fucking manager telling me, this is how you motivate yourself. I wanted to go out onto a football pitch and give my best every time, because when I played well, it made me feel better about myself.
Yeah,
right?
Dan, you're a different generation of people. You're a total different generation of people.
I know, Dan, but it doesn't. I know, but these are professional footballers who are paid a lot of money to do their jobs, and they're not doing their jobs.
And
right?
even if they don't do their job, they're still getting paid the bloody money for it.
And that's the problem.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But the whole point of getting another manager in is hoping, and it is hope at the end of the day, can he get more out of the players?
I don't think another manager will. I personally
don't know. I can agree with that. But then I could also agree with there's a chance that someone could. I don't know. Can he get someone that can play it? Can he get them to play that 90 minutes? instead of 45 minutes or 20 minutes.
Can we add in though?
I
Dan?
genuinely don't know. I genuinely haven't got a clue anymore with it.
Can we
I
add
can
in as
only
well,
hope.
though? When people are talking about playing for 90 minutes at the moment, are we not taking into account as well? And again, it doesn't matter who the manager is. We're not taking into account as well that a lot of this 11 that are fit aren't 100% fit.
No.
Like Solanke's
them,
just
mate.
come back from 6 months out. Dragusin's come back from a year out. Conor Gallagher's not played a lot of football this year, right? Mickey van der Ven has had a number of different injuries this season, right? Basuma's not played a lot of football this season. All of a sudden, all of these players you're looking at going, well, we've got 11 outfield fit players, 12 at a push, right? They're not 100% fit. And we're going, right, for 90 minutes, give your all. This is the elite level of sport. If your body isn't at its maximum, you can't do that.
No, that
right?
one I'll agree with. But
And-
mentality does come into it as well.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But you know what? We've spent so many years talking about buzzwords, mentality, getting the best out of people, work rate, determination. When are we going to actually talk about the Q word? When are we going to talk about the quality? Like, because if all it needed was mentality and getting the best out of players, no team would ever get relegated.
No,
If that's all it
it's not
needed.
just about that.
But no, but the problem is we focus so much on that everyone, again, we're going to focus so much on Frank being sacked. Obviously, Frank gone and yay, it's good times and we're happy. But again, we're now just going to sweep under the carpet the players that get away with this every single week. We are sweeping under the. Look at Romero. Look how not. I know you don't, Dan. Look how Romero gets backed. That man could be shit for 10 games in a row, gets sent off, doesn't lead by example. And our fan base, he called out the owners. That's where we're at. Don't worry about the pitch. Let's worry about that. Right? All the quotes that are now coming out from people going, oh, Thomas Frank cared more about Arsenal. Thomas Frank this, Thomas Frank that, blah, blah. All of this stuff that we're doing, that's fine. But again, it's taking away from what is the actual problem. I hardly see any pundits, anyone actually talk about the quality of the squad. I've never seen a Spurs squad where our forwards are at the level of Richie, Solanke, Tell, Odeberm, or what. I cannot remember seeing this. And we're going,
terrible what we've got.
We don't score enough goals. And
Well,
you're
at the start of the season, people were saying we were scoring the goals.
Yeah, but
it's not the upfront lot. No, I'm agreeing with you. At the start of the season, though, people were saying we were scoring goals.
Right? It's about consistency. When you've got Kane and Son in the team, you're going to
score goals.
You're going to score goals, right? Like, how many teams have Kane and Son played in where we've looked shit, guys? I mean, Danny K, how many times we've seen Kane and Son have been in a Spurs team that have been absolutely shit? Spurs have been turgid for 90 minutes, but Sonny will wrap one round from 20 yards, or Kane will take a touch from 30 yards, larret one in, and it swept everything under the carpet.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing what we are without the forwards.
Yeah. I was saying this for years. I was saying this towards the back end of Conte, that if we lose Harry Kane and Son, we've got a relegation team. Like I saw a video of me like a few years back, and I was saying the exact same things I'm saying now. Like, nothing is changed, which is why I don't believe that even an interim manager is going to really change anything. I still believe. No, I know probably no one agrees with me, but I still believe we would have stayed up with Frank personally. Like, I made a bet with Lubo about it yesterday. I still agree with it. I still agree that would have been the case. What my fear is now is I don't trust this board to put in a decent interim manager who could put us up, could keep us up. That's my worry. My worry is the grass isn't always greener. And I've got a fear that if they get this appointment wrong, we are going to go down. Like, that's the reality. If they get this wrong, we are going down. And I think that's more, for me, I'm more annoyed by that than the fact that that Frank has gone. Because I don't trust this board to do any decision correct because they've clearly shown they haven't been able to do that. And I think you said it last night, Sava, that they didn't back Frank or they didn't sack him in January. So they didn't do anything. It was evident in January that we had 8 new injuries in the January period. And yet the club did absolutely nothing to even give us any numbers whatsoever. Not even a free transfer. It's beyond pathetic. The fact that West Ham signed 5 new players and it's completely changed them. It's just
January was the biggest joke. I still think at the start of the season, he got some good players put in there. We needed more players, but the players we did get were good enough for that first team. The injuries have done us no favours. And January, for me, is the bigger joke of the transfer.
Yeah.
The fact that we basically got one player in, and I think the only reason we got him in is because Bentancur got injured, if I'm going to be honest. I think that's the only reason we went and got him.
Yeah.
When we should blatantly at least gone and got another 2 loans, which I think he's more than capable to give us that little bit of depth. Again, at the start of the season, I don't think it was a bad transfer window for the quality of players we got, but we needed more.
I'll see. I disagree. I do. The problem is, again, this is looking at the wider picture. It can't just be bringing players in for players' sake. There's got to be a plan to it. This is the point. When you bring in Kolo Muani on the last day of the window as a panic loan, that's not a good signing. That's a panic. He's not been brought in with any. He's not been brought in with any plan or structure or planning in mind. And this is the difference between the good football clubs and us. You can go and get 4 players, but if there's no plan for them, if you've not got any idea how to integrate them into the team, Paulinho was a loan. Like, we've gone and got 2 loans and 2 signings. 2 of those players were signed in the last 4 days of the window.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I agree. We should be signing earlier than that. But the one with Moane, at the start, I don't think anyone really complained about it because the season before, a lot of us was agreeing on like Moane is one we wouldn't say no to. And better than Solanke and Richarlison, which it's proving out that he isn't. The time that we got him, terrible. But sometimes I agree with what you're saying. You've got to have a plan to it. You've got to. I would have thought, especially in January, they would have already been working out over the past 2 months at least, where everything's been going totally wrong. Injuries left, right, and centre. Right, we need A, B, C, D. Here's the plans. And we're going to go for this, which we obviously didn't. But sometimes if an offer comes up out of nowhere, it's no different to doing your bloody shopping. You snatch it up when it's there. And that's what I feel we did out of Moane.
That's fine.
And it has turned out to be bad. It's turned out that he hasn't done his job.
That's fine. But again, this isn't just one window, is it? This is years of having no plan.
No, this is what we do all the time. I agree with that.
So again, any player that comes in isn't brought in because you go, God, that's who we've been tracking and this is the position he fills. We bought in Moane, who, let's be fair, he don't want to be there, right? This is a guy who's moved to Juventus, fell through the day before, and he's now going, shit, where can I go? I'm not going to get in at you. I'm not getting in at PSG. Where can I go? All right, I'll go to Tottenham. And his body language from day one has been,
right. This is my point, Sava, about mentality of players these days. Whether he wanted to go Spurs or not, it was his only option at the end of the day. So he's gone there. He didn't want to be there, but he should still be playing with that. He wants to do something. He wants to play well. That's what I mean about why players these days look more mercenary to me than they do football lovers from 20, 30 years ago, basically. That is an example. He should still be there, giving it 100%, basically. If you don't want to be there, you're not going to get 100%. You might only get 90% out of him. But the way he acts on the pitch, it looks like you can blatantly see he don't want to be there. And you can blatantly see he couldn't give a toss what happens next.
Listen, I completely agree with you. I mean,
but none of us thought he would be like that, did they? I mean, a majority of us thought he would score some goals.
There were a lot of people, to be fair, that said you don't want that guy. His mentality is crap. Now, listen, those people have.
I thought he'd do all right. I was quite happy that we got him. I thought he'd be respectable, but he hasn't even been respectable.
But the reason why I said I didn't think the window was good down in the summer is because, again, I'm looking at it going, what have these players been brought in mind with? Like Paulinho, I love, but what are you bringing him in mind for? You're bringing him in mind for a 1-year loan with no long-term plan. Like, do you know what I mean? It all felt like it's all very fragmented and we just chuck a few things in and go. And for me, The key things are that we just didn't replace the goals. That's the big thing for me.
No, we didn't.
Not replacing Son was absolutely criminal. Not selling him, knock yourself out. But not replacing him was criminal. And how many fans turned around at the time and went, don't worry, we'll do it in January. There was no one out there available. And it's like, hang on, you've not replaced. We haven't got a left winger. Now, you look, last night after Odegaard went off, who was the only winger in the club who isn't really a winger? Matisse Tell. That's what, and the thing is, Dan, I'm sorry, not teaching you to suck eggs. We all know this, right? In the January window, they knew this. In the January window, they knew that Kudus was injured. They knew that Brennan Johnson had been sold. They knew they hadn't replaced Son. So you're looking and going, right, the only winger at this football club between now and April when Kudus is back is Odegaard, and they did nothing about it.
That is what I've been saying in the aspect of they should have already known all this was coming because we could see it all basically. No, we didn't know there was going to be excess amount of injuries in January as well. We have been unlucky with that, but they should have gone out there with the amount of injuries we already did have and had a plan on what they was going to do in January. And it looks like there was no plan whatsoever. I still think they only went and got Gallagher for the sheer fact of Bentancur got injured.
I completely agreed that's the point, right? And by the way, I think a lot of people get in on Conor Gallagher's back. I think once Spurs are settled and have a decent team, you'll see.
I'm happy we got him. I'm happy we got him.
But this is absolutely right. Look, Alfie said, Tell, who is actually a striker, sees himself as a striker, is now the only winger fit, depending on Odegaard's injury. Like, how are we at that stage? How are we at the stage where I'm watching West Ham and going, I'm jealous of your forward line? How? I'm embarrassed to say that. I'm embarrassed to say that I'm looking at Crescencio Somerville and going, you're world class compared to our wingers. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the thing is that for me, that's where you adapt to what you've got then. And that is one thing that I always thought Frank would be good at. If you've got no wingers, then don't sort out a formation that's going to use wingers. Use a formation that's going to use your wing backs and then put two behind the striker or one behind two strikers or whatever else the way you do it. Then you don't play with a 4-2-3 using wide wingers because you haven't bloody got them. But with the amount of injuries we've got at the moment, what options do we have really to change and mess about with? With the players we have got fit at the moment, we've even only got one wing back now as well.
Mate, the whole thing is a shit show. Like the whole thing is a shit show. And when you deep it even further, right? People are going like last night, we should play three at the back. And I'm like, we've only got Dragusin and Van der Ven. Now, all of a sudden, what happened, Dan, last night, everyone started going, Sosa, how's Sosa not? Hang on. Last week, everyone's going, who is this 19-year-old kid from Brazil? Now, suddenly, he's the saviour. The whole thing's a mess. The whole thing is a
total mess. It's a total state. I don't think anyone's denying that.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm
even with a full team there, I still think we look best with three at the back, personally. Even if we had all our players together, I still think we look better with three at the back using wing backs. But we don't even have that choice at the moment either. And the thing I do feel for Frank for on this aspect, which I think earlier maybe he could have changed a couple of things, this and that, but it's always buts and maybes, is that we play a 4-2-3-1. There's people out there who are saying, like I will say, well, we haven't got the wingers, so don't play with bloody wingers then. Use the wing backs more. But then there'll be people that when we play three at the back that are complaining that this isn't the Spurs way of playing and everything. It seems that no matter what way it does get done, no matter what way it happens, you're not going to keep everybody happy. It's never going to be like that.
Oh, of course. But this is the thing. And look, Danny, Chris, let me bring you guys back in. This is the whole thing, right? We all talk because obviously Frank's gone today, so it's the main subject. But there are so many things wrong with owners, director of football, CEO, squad, medical staff. I genuinely don't know where we go from here. Like I throughout the years, I've always thought that, well, my idea would be this. I genuinely don't know, chaps, what we do. I think this is the worst I've ever seen the club as a collective?
Yeah, don't you want to take it?
I just don't know what the answer is for. I think I do know what the answer is going to be, obviously, from the summer, but I just don't know what the hell do we do between now and the summer. I don't know. I think Heitinger. I think it's going to just be Heitinger.
Yeah, of course it is. That's because the club have got no plan, and it's the easy option, isn't it? It's the easy decision is to put the assistant coach.
Well, it's the decision
manager,
that doesn't actually need a decision, does it? Because he's already there.
Yeah, exactly that. Which again just shows like the competency of this football club. Yeah, I think Heitinger will be the interim, unless they decide to shock everyone and bring back Ryan Mason, which I think will be just another laugh.
I don't think that'll go down well, mate.
Mate, you'd be surprised how many fans are actually calling for Ryan Mason, like on a realistic level. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, there's reports, by the way, that Michael Bridge has said that he's been told that Robbie Keane won't come back on an interim basis.
Obviously, yeah,
and neither should he.
Guys, I know. I'm just saying what I'm reading. Tim Sherwood's currently on the TV on Sky Sports. I've no idea what Tim Sherwood is saying. The funny thing that's going to happen here, guys, we all know this, is whoever the interim is, half the fan base are going to hate it, aren't they? Let's be brutally honest. Whoever the interim manager is, half the fan base are going to hate it. But we asked for this, right? We asked for an interim to come in.
Yep.
Let the chips fall where they may.
I mean, it makes me laugh, though, that people are genuinely advocating for people like Sam Allardyce.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Because we lose our mind. The second we don't pass a ball forward, we've lost our mind in the stadium and we want to go and appoint Sam. Like, if we lost our first, imagine we do appoint him and we lose against Arsenal 3-0, setting up defensively, they'll be asking for him to be sacked the next morning.
That is a question. You say that, yeah. One thing I do ask here is maybe should they have just kept... I know every game counts now, but I mean, if we're all going to be totally honest with ourselves, would you put a money bet on that Spurs win against Arsenal? I might put a fiver on against it because the odds are that far. I might put a fiver on it just for the sheer fact that the odds are that far against us. It'd be worth it. But the point is, I'm saying here is, should they have just kept him until after the Arsenal game, which there's a 99% chance we lose that, and then got the next manager in, instead of trying to get a manager in now who's then got and played probably the best team in the country at the moment? Maybe they should have left him to get that one more defeat as such, to then at least bring in the next fella with a chance.
Days, isn't it? It's the 12-day gap they've given themselves between now and Arsenal.
You know what? Fair point. Yeah, fair point.
I don't disagree with you, because
no,
this can go two ways, right? A new manager comes in for Arsenal, right? The best team in the country. Sorry if that upsets anyone, but
it is what it is.
Right? A new manager comes in and the crowd are behind him, depending on who it is. The noise roars. Spurs win the game and we go, oh my God, what a justified decision. The other side of it, Dan, is new manager comes in to play against Arsenal, the best team in the country, who don't concede goals. We get beaten 3 or 4-0 and everyone goes, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You know what I mean?
No, you know what? On that aspect, the next manager comes in and we get a spanking off Arsenal. I just take that one on the chin. I'll put that one aside. The only thing I would ask for on that is that the players go out there and you see that the players want to try. This was the main problem I had with Frank a few games back. If you can't get the mentality out of your players to get stuck into a game like Arsenal or Chelsea, there's an issue there as far as I'm concerned. Whether it's you want to blame the manager or whether it's you want to blame it's the mentality of the players we've got and how bad they are, whatever way you want to put it. But I would have thought at least for an Arsenal or Chelsea game, you can get them to get stuck in that 10% more as such. The next game, do you know what? If we go and lose it, whatever, I'm not going to blame it on the manager that we've got for this. Yeah, it's going to be annoying that it's Arsenal that we lose to, but it would have happened anyway with Frank, and it is the best team in the league at the moment. So that one I'll be able to accept. But I just want to at least see the players try, put in some effort. Because there has been games where it looks at it and the players just, like last night, did the players look like they even care, bar maybe one or two on the pitch? No. That first half was absolutely atrocious. So maybe you could even call this Arsenal game a bit of a free hit for the next manager, basically. I didn't think of it in the 12.
You can't be bringing in interims. You can't be bringing in interims and saying free hit.
This one I can, and I just did. For
Dan,
me, I can only speak for myself.
Sure, but isn't that the whole point of why you sack a manager, so that you get the manager bounce? Like,
this is what I just said when you stepped off for a second. The one thing I do want to see is the players at least look like they want to get stuck into the game, unlike the last game against them, where it was just totally. It looked like the players didn't even want to be there, basically, and that's why I could accept us getting a beating with the next game. Because again, said it about 3 times now. It is the best team in the league at the moment, whether you like it or not. But I see your point. I didn't think of it like that. It is the 12-day gap, isn't it, sort of thing?
I think that's it. Look, I mean, let's have a look at what's around us, right? So we've got, and I'm only going to go for another 10 minutes, guys. By the way, let's have a look. So if we look around us, you've got Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Leeds, right, are the closest clubs to us, right? If we look at the Premier League and we look at the next set of fixtures, right? So today's game, you've got Nottingham Forest are home to Wolves. Now, hard to say because Forest are crap, but you would expect them to probably be an absolutely depleted, relegated Wolves team, right? Forest. So that will put Spurs into 17th, right? Oh, Stanley has just chewed. Oh my God, Stanley's just demolished my little shit bag.
We'll still be above Forest, Sav, on goal difference, but
sure. Okay, we'll be above Forest, right? So then after that, the fixtures are. Let's go to the Premier League. So we look at the fixtures at the weekend, right? Sorry, for the next game. Where are we? Is that the 11th for this? Why is it saying the 11th for the second, 12th for the second? All right, okay, here we go. So then the next set of fixtures after that are going to be Leeds are away to Aston Villa. So we need Aston Villa to help us there. West Ham are home to Bournemouth, who have had a little bit of a resurgence. Forest are home to Liverpool. Guys, I don't know what to say anymore, right? Bournemouth bought in that Rayan, right? 3 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. See what happens when you bring players in a window. I don't know. Are we going down? Chris, are we getting relegated?
I'm still firmly of the view that no, I think we'll do enough just to limp over the line. But yeah, I mean, I can't anymore. I mean, I was sort of laughing at it and saying people were overblowing it 4 or 5 weeks ago. I can't really do that now. We definitely have to have a realistic consideration of it is possible. I mean, if Sesko hadn't scored that equaliser last night, you know, you're 3 points away. But I still think we have to view it. I know West Ham have picked up, but we still have to view it that they need 6 points to go above us. Realistically, that's 2 games that they have to win. I know they're a bit better. That it's still a big ask at this stage. Their fixtures overall are not easy either. So I think we'll do enough to stay above at least one of them and Forest. I can't see them both passing us. And also, just because we're below them at the moment, the likes of Leeds and that, I think we'll be all right. It's a bold call from anybody to say right now we are going to get relegated. If people want to put their balls on the line that much and say that we are going down right now, I would say, as Dan was just saying about the Arsenal game, get down the bookies then, because the odds are still relatively good and you'll make some good money out of it.
I've said to people already, Chris, like if anyone wants to put a bet on it, I don't mind. Like, do it for charity, of course. But
we're not getting relegated.
Is this true? Is this true? The players have been given 5 days off?
No, I don't believe that.
If this is true,
I've been watching the news the whole time as well, and it hasn't said nothing about anything like that.
No.
Change
By the
for
way-
Tottenham have just released a statement, by the way.
Have they?
Yeah, they've just on their Twitter, mate. It's just
They say they caused it. They
Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go for it, man. Or bring it up on the screen. We can, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. Anyway, I'll just read it out. I'm
Yeah,
not
go on,
tech
read it out.
savvy.
Go on.
Not tech savvy, which is worrying as my current job is IT consultant. But anyway,
Yeah, go for
it
it.
says, Thomas Frank was clearly not good enough and was rightly sacked. However, the problems run far deeper than the manager, and ultimately Thomas Frank is another manager failed by ENIC. Whilst signings were made in the summer and January, not nearly enough investment was put into the squad after finishing 17th last season. Amid another injury crisis in January, the director of football, Johan Lang, rolled out excuses that did not sufficiently account for another window of neglect. The current ownership and leadership promised an ambitious future that put the football team first. In just a few short months, they have sacked a manager, lost a director of football, and the club is staring a relegation battle in the face. The lack of a long-term coherent football strategy, neglecting the transfer market for years, and failing to attract players with big enough wages has finally come home to roost as we languish in the bottom half of the league, fighting for survival. The Lewis Family Trust, Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Lang have already proven they are incapable and must either take drastic measures to resolve the situation we are left in or sell the club. We'll continue to organise and put pressure on the board. We call on Tottenham fans to join us.
I mean, I don't disagree with anything they've said there, but what pressure is being put on the board? This is the point again. Like Danny always says, you can have 200 people standing outside a pub, and if 55,000 people walk past them, what pressure? Like last night, again though, right? Last night, I don't know if you guys saw, when I listen back, because I can't watch with the sound on doing watch-alongs, all I hear is Frank out, Frank out, Frank out. I'm not hearing, and when I was at the stadium, by the way, I'm not hearing anything about ENIC. I'm not hearing ENIC out. So they can say they're putting pressure on. But like, I'll call out Billy T. I like Billy T, by the way. Really lovely guy, right? But like Billy T talks about this, yet every one of his posts on X is about how shit Frank is rather than trying to drum up support on ENIC. Cool, I get it. You don't like Frank, but if your thing is ENIC are the bigger problem, shouldn't your post be about ENIC, and it should be about raising money and awareness to create a bigger protest for that? So we've got to make up our minds here. Like, if we want to protest, let's get a protest going that actually is ENIC out rather than just singing Frank's going to get sacked in the morning. So which one is it?
Look after the West Ham game, wouldn't it? Like I say, we was there, a few of us, about 150, and I think that's, I'd say only 100 if I'm going to be honest, but 150, and like you say, 55,000 or 50,000, whatever you want to say, basically walked past us into the stadium, don't make a single noise. But then after we lose the game at the end, I mean, I already left at about 80 minutes. I just didn't want to watch it anymore, so I thought I'd go out and smoke a fag out the back and wait. Yeah, you hear the people in there singing you're getting sacked in the morning or Frank out and everything. I just think that's all good, but where's things going to change unless the owners change their way or unless the owners sell up?
Yeah, look, I mean, Chris, do you see what I'm saying? Again, it's difficult because I don't want to get away from the fact that Frank had to go. We know that. But again, we're sitting 16th, 17th. We were 17th last season. No one's singing ENIC out, right? Because again, all of our focus, and we're all guilty of this, all of our focus goes on to the one manager we don't like at the time. I was guilty of this with Ange to a degree. People are now guilty of this with Frank, that they can write that letter, but where was that letter? Where was that before? Where was the push going on the club before the January window? Before the January window, where's the letter saying, right, we're in a mess, Spurs, you now have to show us what you're going to do. We wait till after Frank's sacked. We wait till after the transfer window, Chris. It's always an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, I can confirm, obviously I was there, that there was, I didn't hear any chanting at all against anyone apart from Thomas Frank. In defence of the fans, I was actually surprised last night that they didn't turn on Frank earlier, and they kept it about the last 3 or 4 minutes before it really got bad. But yeah, there's nothing against, as Dan's just outlined what happened with the last protest, right? I think if you held a protest in the net, they won't for the Arsenal game because they have this thing, it's Arsenal, so we need to focus on the match. So it's going to be at least 3 weeks till we have another protest. I guess they'll arrange it. If we held it tomorrow, how many would we get? There'd be more than the last one, obviously, but I still don't think it anywhere near the numbers that are going to make any difference whatsoever.
But why not do it for Arsenal? If they're serious, Chris, why not do it for Arsenal? Why, right now, you've got no manager.
They're scared of the criticism of, we need to focus on the match and blah, blah, blah.
If we're really truly strong about this, I don't know what Danny and Dan think about this. If we're really truly strong about this, yeah, make it the Arsenal game when it will be the busiest, right? Make it the Arsenal game where you've not got a permanent manager, so you can't upset a permanent manager. Make it the Arsenal game. Make it the Arsenal game where it's going to be live on TV. I'm guessing we're going to be like the 4:30 kickoff, are we, or 12:30 or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm guessing, right? Make it that game. Prime kickoff spot, spotlight on the TV. Make it that, right? Or is that too?
And with everyone that, say for instance, you get after stadium screaming, like chanting ENIC out. How's that against the players and manager? Well, you're not aiming at the players or manager, are you? But yeah, I see what you're saying with the atmosphere sort of thing. But I'm sure after doing that at the end or in the middle or at half time or whatever for 10 minutes or whatever, it's not at the players or at the manager.
It is about the atmosphere. But if you do it outside the stadium, I don't understand. Like, the players don't even see it, right? They don't care. So why not? You can do something outside the stadium. I don't see that impacts the game in any way. But
yeah, I totally agree with that. Outside the stadium, whatever. At the end of the day, you're not aiming at the players. What do they give a toss whether you want the owners out or not?
They don't even see it, mate. They just go in the underground car park.
Exactly. But yeah, what do they give a shit? You know, they're still just playing football, getting paid their bloody money. So what do they care whether you want ENIC? I mean, okay, people say if you're in the stadium and then start grilling the team for whatever it has an effect on them or certain players, whatever else, fine. But if you're there outside the stadium or even in the stadium, focusing on ENIC out, basically, I can't see what effects it would have on them. But outside the stadium would probably be the better idea for it, like you said.
But I'd respect that more. If right now they started circulating, guys, we're going to have our biggest ever protest, right? And it's going to be organised properly. I'm talking about someone at the front with a megaphone, driving down the high street. Do you know what I mean? Not change. We don't want change. We want ENIC out. Make it old. Make it one message. Not, I've turned up. I don't like Lang. This person's turned up. They like Lang, but they don't want the manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be on point. It needs to be one message. I would be down with that. I would go to the Arsenal game for that. But all of this, well, it's Arsenal. We can't do it then. It was, well, we've won the Europa League. We can't do it after that. We've got this game. It's a 3-pointer, 6-pointer. We can't do it then. Surely the Arsenal game is the one, right? Surely, Danny K, that's the pinnacle. If Spurs fans are prepared to do it before the biggest game of the season at home, 4:30 kickoff, Sky cameras on it.
They won't do it though. That's not what they'll do. That's probably the one game they don't want to do it at, because they want to focus on the game, which is the sad reality. So
they've said that, Danny. So they're on record that you're absolutely right. But surely for them as well, it's almost like the same argument for Tottenham as a football club. If you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results. So that they need to pivot one way or another to doing something different. Yep. And actually, to Sava's point, just about how basic is it to have a guy with a megaphone at the front?
Yep.
If you can't do that, there's been some. I'm not here to knock them. I'm not here to knock. At least they're trying.
No, exactly.
The organisational things have been beyond poor, which is partly why. I actually don't think, even if they got megaphones and stuff and they'd marketed better, they'd have a few more there. I just don't think we have the appetite as a fan base.
I could agree with that.
Just by the pure fact that the fans just turn on the manager every single time, and the board is just like, I haven't heard "we want ENIC out" chants once this season, not once.
I don't think I have either.
I mean, look at Man U. About what was it, 8,000 to 10,000 of them turn up and kick off just because they didn't like the bloody shirt.
Yeah.
But Dan, this is what I've always said. This is why my theory was always I don't think protests work. And as much as I'll go to the next one, I'm not seeing anything when I'm at the protest that prove that I was wrong to not attend. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's backwards because I think if everyone had that mindset, but right now, if you turn around, are people going to be more happy that Frank's been sacked and say, no, I won't protest? Or are they going to look and turn around and go, we're a circus again. Let's protest. I think more people right now are going to be more happy that Frank gone than they actually are at, hang on, ENIC have let us down again over years and years and years and years.
Well, this is what I asked.
Go
on. No, it's all right. Go on.
All I was going to say is that I think you can judge that by how are people reacting this morning. For me, I'm not happy about it because of all of those factors. If you're one of the fans right now who's overjoyed that Frank has gone, I don't think you're seeing the bigger picture at the club.
No.
The thing that gave me questions for it was when I went to the protest when there was excess of 2,000 there. Spoke to a lot of people that I'd never met before, listened to a lot going on around me, stuff like that. And the question it made me ask about the whole time was how many was actually there for Levy out, ENIC out, and how many was actually there for Ange out? That was the question.
You called that. You nailed that, mate. I've got to say, you were absolutely spot on.
And I called that from day one. The amount of people that I listened to, I heard more people speak about Ange than I did about Levy and ENIC.
It's true.
And that was all I ever asked a question about. I didn't say the protests don't work. I never said don't do them. It just made me question what was actually the majority of people.
I think you're right, Dan. I think you're right because like when we had that big protest last year, it was a lot of it was aimed at Ange, I think. Rather
the
than
intention, the intentions weren't that. The intention of the protest was ENIC out, Levy out. But I personally think at least half the people there was more there for Ange out.
Yeah.
Because all I kept hearing off a lot of people was we need to get this fella out. We need a new manager. More than I heard people talk about Levy and ENIC.
Yep.
And that was why I asked the questions on it.
And this
is
right.
You were right to ask that question. It's funny, though, as well, what there needs to be. What I've found is when I said, okay, right, I've had enough now, I'm going to go to protests, I started getting abuse for that, right? I started getting people going, you're a flip-flop. And I thought, hang on, isn't the whole point of the protest that you want to encourage people to join? When they join, surely you welcome them with open arms, don't you? Surely that should be encouraged. What I've received is the opposite from people. Like in the chat now, people going, so you don't think protests work, but you're going to go. Make it make sense. All right, cool. Well, I'll go and do my bit to try and help. Do I think it's going to work long-term? No. But do I want to be able to say I helped in my minuscule way? Sure. But even then, guys, it gets belittled. Like everybody should be welcomed. And this is the thing for me, right? All of the people that head up ENIC out and do the protest, for me, they should be sweet talking everybody. Everybody should be, hey, welcome, come join. This is what we do. Instead, it's kind of thrown in your face. And that's got to be addressed as well.
Yeah, well, that's where how shall I put it? That's where you've got to do it the political way, basically. You want people to vote for you. So when they do, you don't go and grill them that they haven't voted for you for the past 4 years or whatever. You go and say, thank you for joining us. This is why we needed you, and get the next people in there. I'll agree with that one. Football for me is too political anyway these days, same as bloody everything is. But protests and that is a political thing for whatever reason it is. It is looked on as a political thing. And basically the political side of it is you want people to vote for you, i.e. you want people to go to the protests to fight for what you want or we want, whatever way you want to put it, as in get ENIC out. So people who turn up who haven't been turning up, you're doing your job right on getting the votes, and you also shake their hand for doing it, as far as I'm concerned. Even if you don't think they're there for the right reason, they're still there.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Look, again, I will do some super chats and end the show, but I think wherever any of our opinions fall on a player, a manager, a medical team, a director, whatever, I think we can all agree that once again, we're a bit of a laughing stock, right? Once again, we can agree that the club is in turmoil. The club is a complete disgrace and nothing has changed. We'll start this cycle again, chaps, with a new manager. No, I'm not saying the interim, but we will start this cycle again in the summer with a new manager. We will all, won't we? Naturally, we all have that 5, 10, 15% in us that goes, oh, it's going to be different this time. And it's Poch, they're going to back. And I've got no doubt, give it a year, give it the first time the new manager has a 6-7 game run where we don't win a game. We'll be back here going, shit, you see, the manager's shit, get him out. And this is the sad thing for me as a Spurs fan, wanting the best for Tottenham. I don't care about the individuals. I just want to know where my club's going. And at the moment, I don't see any different in this club from the 90s to now. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't see any different. I see a great big stadium. I see more finance. I see nothing as an actual football team, a football club, a direction, a strategy, a plan that is any different to anything we've done since I was at college, since I was at school. I've seen no difference, right? Look, I'm going to do... yeah, Johnny, listen, action does need to be taken. But as I said, if anyone organises a protest, I will be there for the Arsenal game. I will be there. I will protest, but will everyone else? People talk about it a lot online. I don't see many people actually there. So we'll see. We'll see. And hats off to the people that have been there for each one. Fair play to those people, whether you agree with them or not. You know, when you look at the likes of Stell, for example, you know, he has been there. He has been saying this since the beginning and been at the forefront. People like Stell, you know, fair play to them. Hate giving people credit, but hey, it is what it is. Let's do some super chats and a round up. Big up to Blaine Dev, who's been a member for 22 months, who said only one reaction is right for this announcement. Come on, now go send Vinay and Lang packing too, please. Yeah, listen, I don't think it's a good day for Spurs. I don't. It's not about Frank. I just don't. I think it's another demonstration of the mess we're in. I can't celebrate when I don't know what the plan is. I can't celebrate without knowing what the plan is. Big up to you, my man. He's come back in and said, might be poor form, but I felt that down. I felt that down about the situation last night. I could hardly sleep. Don't like to see any human lose their job, but honestly, I feel relieved. I might actually enjoy a game or two now. Big up, Sava. Let's hope we do. Let's hope we do. This notion that it's suddenly going to be good football with these players we've got is, I think, is really unfounded. But listen, big up to you as well. Thanks for the super chat, Blaine. Big up to Paul. Said, who would you put in charge for now? Mate, I'm Paul. I have to be true. I have to be a man of my word. These lot can call me a hypocrite if I say otherwise. I have said when they sack the next manager, i.e. Frank, I am having no opinion now on who the manager is that comes in. I am not going to say it's good or bad. Let them come in. Good luck. Welcome to Tottenham Hotspur. Because I don't see the point in backing a manager when they don't back a manager anymore. But big up to you, Paul. I think it will be Heitinger, but we'll see. Big up to Ian. Said Frank had to go. Agreed. But I feel sorry for him. Agreed. And even more sorry for the next manager who comes in to this utter shit show. Agreed. Yes. I don't feel sorry for them, the fact that they get millions of pounds paid out. I don't feel sorry for them for that. But yes, a big up to Faz. Said sacking is easy. Problem has always been recruitment. Faz, absolutely bang on. Danny said that at the beginning of the show, right? The manager, that's the easy bit. Now recruit. Who you recruiting? That's the tough bit. And we always get it wrong. Big up to you, Faz. Big up to Lamas, who said, come on, Lubo and Sava. It can't surely lead to this. Oh, it's just a football debate. Everyone stop worrying. I'll speak to Lubo on the phone in about half an hour for an hour about some nonsense. Don't worry about it. Everyone's always, oh, Lubo's getting bullied. He gives as good as he gets, that Tiger. He really does. Big up to you, my man. Big up to Hobbit Warlord. I like that. Said, are Tottenham fans gutless? Zero effort for ENIC out protests, 100% complaining. Well,
yes.
I'll let Danny K answer. There you go. Yes, apparently is the answer.
Simple, yes.
Big up to Donna Gallen, said, Wagwa, Mr. Sava and others. Don't you talk to me, Donna. You were part of this board. Don't you talk to me, Donna. You were part of the problem here.
Can I just say one thing on that money? Why I say the fans are gutless is because it's only the online fans you really see, which is a very small minority of fans that you see who are genuinely annoyed by how ENIC run the football club. The majority of match-going fans, they couldn't care less because all they care about is what they see right in front of them in the present moment. They don't care about what's happened in the last 10 years. They don't care about what's happening in behind the scenes. They don't care. All they want to do is go to the game, have a drink, have a chat with their friends, and they get on with their weekend. And if they lose the game, they might be pissed off, but that's it. They might have a little bit of banter with their friends in work or whatever, in school. But the average fan don't really care the way that, or is invested into the behind the scenes of Tottenham as say we are, because we're kind of involved with it most days of the week, if not every day, right? In terms of debating it, talking about it, researching it, all this kind of stuff. But the person, your average fan, ain't going to be doing the same stuff that we do. Some fans who go to the game might watch and might agree, but most people don't care enough to do what's necessary, which I think is a necessary thing to try and make change. And it's gonna take too many of the average match day going fans to change their opinions and their minds in order for an actual effect something to actually be affected by.
Danny, too many people think that online is all of our fan base.
No, it's not. It's a minority. It's a minority.
No, you're right on that aspect. And to some people, football means more than other people. Some people, it's just a little hobby. Some people, it's something they love. I mean, the example I give, I love my PlayStation. You touch that, I'll end your life. That's the only thing that comes. You know what I mean? But other people would sit there and say, I don't even like games or whatever. Some people, they love their football club like it's part of the family. Other people just like watching a bit of football. It's each their own at the end of the day. But I agree with what you're saying. I think we've got a lot less supporters that have got their heart and soul in it compared to somewhere like Liverpool, Newcastle.
I think a lot of them, it's like going to the cinema, isn't it? You watch the film. It's
good, exactly that.
Yeah. That's it. You move on and you go again next week.
Yeah, good example. Yeah,
exactly that. It's a great analogy.
And it doesn't make them any less of a person, whatever. And that it's just,
I agree.
Whatever turns you on at the end of the day, each their own, isn't it?
That's the question that they need to ask. First of all, stop calling it change for Tottenham. Like, we've seen change. Change isn't what we need. It needs to be ENIC out. Listen, let me do these super chats because I am going to end the show. Barry's joining. I am going to end the show. I've actually got an interview at 1:30, so I really need to.
Well, for the Tottenham job, Sav.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything, but I am being interviewed. Donna Gallen again said, Mr. Sava, I'm no longer on the board. You know it. I know. But thank you for your super chat. And another one you've come in with. Here we go. Another one where you said, where are those people who said things will improve when Cullen and Levy are out? Mr. Sava, as we can see, things are worse since I left. I want justice. I tell you what, as funny as this is, it does beg the question. A lot of us were very much Levy. These new guys aren't any better, are they? But hey, thank you very much for that. Big up to Ian JD, who said, our situation is so much bigger than Frank, and the entire fan base need to realize this. I honestly think we are going down. I agree with the first sentence. I don't think we're going to go down. I've never thought we're going down. But right now, let the fans have their happiness that Frank's gone, right? When the dust settles, we'll all get back to realizing that it is bigger than Thomas Frank. and then we'll go again with whatever the new narrative is. Let's see now, all the people that have been so adamant it's all on Thomas Frank, where's their next narrative? What if the caretaker manager comes in and takes us down? Does it move to him? Does it move back to Ian? Let's see where people's agendas take them. Big up to you, Ian. Big up to Tottenham, Trev. They've been waiting for this day. Now the fans will see how wrong they are again. They won't admit it, but they are the problem. Yep. Again, letting the owners off and making excuses for lazy player power attitudes. Trev, I'm led to believe, though, that more can be got out of these players that have been shit for 3 years. But hey, that's the interim's going to have to do enough to. By the way, the interim could win 2 in the last 12, and we'll get loads of praise for keeping us up.
Yeah. Which is what I think Frank would have done anyway. But anyway.
Right, I agree. But hey, it is what it is. Big up, Trev. I make you right, my man. And last but not least, always very generous to me, Jordan Coys. Thank you very much. I said the worst thing is if we get no manager bounce because the depleted squad and we go down, it will still all be put on Frank, despite the fans telling us any manager could do better. Yep. We are literally rolling the dice now and hoping. And just quickly before we go, I need to end the show. I've got 7 minutes, right? I can go till 1, and then I must get ready for an interview. You know, here's my prep. Guys, that super chat from Jordan, he is right. You know, if we go down, it will still be put at Thomas Frank's feet, even though all the people who want him out, massively want him out, are saying any manager will do better. This is a big call from the board, right? This is a big call from the board. They've got to get this right. Nick, I'll let anyone have a couple of minutes.
Look, they have to get it right. But like we've all said, we don't trust that they will get it right. Levy leaves a week after the summer transfer window shuts. Frank's gone a week after the January transfer window shuts. This board knows exactly what it's doing, apart from what the plan for the next manager. They don't have a plan. It's Heitinger or bust. I think. Yeah. I don't think and then it's just going to the summer, because then all those Poch lovers can just go start dancing around the high road and going, "Oh, Poch is back! Hey, look, the good times will come back." Let me just be clear, guys. Poch won no trophies at this football club. Yeah, Poch got sold out like every other manager at this football club. So Enix play, and their only play.
Spurs. But he gets Spurs. He knows the club.
Is Poch. That's their only play, because then it deflects away from them. And actually, I said this the other day, if these results were under Pochettino, no one would be making any noise, nothing. They'll be turning on the board. So this is what's going on.
I have to give credit where it's due. I'm stealing this from Marlon. I heard him say this on another stream. I thought it was a good point. He said, when Poch was sacked, what do we think that the balance was there? Not everybody was in favour, some were, some weren't. Let's just say for ease, it was 50-50. 50% of the fan base wanted him sacked. They wanted Poch sacked in 2019 based on the squad we had then. That's levels above the squad we have now. So on what basis are those fans who wanted him out then, when that squad wasn't good enough, now wanting him back to deal with this squad now? I don't understand that.
Do you know why, Chris? Because Nostalgia FC, which is what we are, Sentimental FC, Harry Kane will come back because Poch is here, right?
Lubo's told
Dele Alli will come back, and Poch will get a tune out of him.
He's on a free. Get him in.
Yeah.
This is what we'll do. This is
with
what
with what you've said, Barry. That's basically what I've been saying. And if it does take Poch to come back, who then gets that extra bit of time because he's got those extra people who appreciate him, like him as a manager, whatever way, and it doesn't go right and the same thing happens again. If it does take that for then the majority of the people to then turn on the owners finally, is that what's needed?
I'm going to say this, right, with Tottenham fans, because they're the most reactionary fan base I've ever seen. When Poch comes back and the one thing that they want is results don't happen, they're going to turn on him regardless of who he is. That's simple as that. Right?
Do you think it'd be the same
Simple
way,
as
or
that.
do you think a few more will
100%,
see it
Dan.
as Enoch as
Dan,
the problem?
If we have 2 wins in 16 games, they are going to fucking turn on him. No doubt about it. Whether it's Poch or not.
Not disputing that, but do you think a few more would actually look past Poch and actually look at Enoch, or do you think it'd just be
because this fan base is a joke.
Look what happened.
This fan base is a joke.
Look at what happened. They organise a protest. No one's there. They organise a walkout. Spurs decide to score 2 goals right near the 75th minute to make the game interesting.
Yeah,
this is what I mean. Whatever we try and do is do it. The only good reason for bringing Poch back is we won't hear this nonsense about XG, because that's the only reason I want Poch back, because he doesn't talk about XG. He doesn't talk about all of this nonsense stats. You know, that's I don't know. I just think we know what we're going to get. Like Chris said earlier, because I was listening on the way back, Chris said we'll be here in 6 to 18 months' time. Yep. Go back and play all of Sava's videos, everyone's videos who have said exactly how it's going to be. Transfer window after transfer window, manager, results, getting sacked, new manager, results, getting sacked. It's been the same thing, but this fan base will not do what needs to be done. And there's so many, we sit there and we go, I know Sava doesn't like it about flip-flops and everything else, but there's so many people that will flip to suit their narrative just because they want to please people. Yeah. Agreed. You cannot have that. If we're going to do it, we need to be united, but we'll never be united because Enoch have created this and they've created the whole diversion. They keep putting it on everywhere where they don't need to be. And
there's a phrase for it: divide and conquer, and it's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
And we'll still be arguing about when the interim comes in, we'll be arguing about who the interim is. Oh, I didn't want that interim. I wanted that interim. And then we'll be arguing about who the new manager is. And then we'll be arguing about this player's not good and that player's not good.
Andy, I think you're missing the point, mate. It's not that anyone has said they do or don't want Poch. The point we're saying is, again, these owners have got the ace up the sleeve. We had this before, right? When they sacked, this has gone full circle, guys. When they sacked Poch, who was a very popular figure, what did they do? Well, here's Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest managers of all time. Okay, cool.
My favorite.
When they made the mistake with Nuno, shit, how do we get the fans? Here's Antonio Conte, one of the best managers from the last 10, 15 years, right? This is the point. What they're going to do now is, fuck, we're in a bind. What do we do? Here's Maurizio Pochettino, who gave you those times. Now, Andy, I think everyone on this panel would agree. Do you know what? I don't like speaking for them, but I'm going to. And if any of them disagree with me, let them disagree with me. Everyone on this panel would be so happy if Poch came back and in a year, he's got us playing exactly the way he did before. We found the new Harry Kane. We found a new Son. We've got a Moussa Dembele type. Oh, my God, look how great we are. We're all sitting here going, love Poch. Problem is, Andy, what we're saying is this guy would be coming back to what was worse than when he left.
Yeah.
And if you actually look, I'm not knocking Poch. Hopefully people take this in the right spirit.
Worse than when he first came.
If you look at the last year under Poch in the Premier League, it was really, really poor from January through to October. He wasn't winning games. We weren't keeping clean sheets. We weren't scoring many. He didn't win away for 12 or 11 months. And that was with Kane, Son, Eriksson, Ali, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Danny Rose, Hugo Lloris. So the point is, bring Poch back. Fine. I don't think anyone cares. But like Barry said, this is purely misdirection. Hey, don't look at that woman in the box over here getting sawed in half. Look over here, right? That's what we're doing.
And he's coming into a greater system that provides him with players that will sign from Burnley and Southampton and Reading. And how is he supposed to succeed?
Yeah.
And that's the point. Somebody made a great point last night, guys. I read this out, and I've really got to go in a minute. Right? I read this out. Fuck me. I read this out last night. Someone said that team last night was comprised of players from Empoli, Leeds, Genoa, Wolfsburg, Forest, Burnley, Brighton, and Metz. Right? Now, when you look at that, I'm not saying you never buy a player. from a lower level club. But if all you're doing is buying players from lower level clubs, you are going to eventually turn into the clubs that you are buying from. And this is why we are now shopping in the same markets as Brentford, as Fulham, as Brighton, as Bournemouth. Bournemouth went out this window, bought in, what's his name? The winger, Rayan, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here, guys, and tell you, oh my God, I've watched Rayan a million times. But they've clearly scouted and done their homework. You watch him play, going, Jesus, look at the difference that boy's making already to Bournemouth. And their results are going like that.
You're right. Keep bringing in third world, you become third world.
Right. And right, Dan. And that's the point, right? So again, it's okay doing that if you've got a system and a model that all works. Brentford, Brighton, right? By the way, Brighton, they're starting to run out of this as well now, aren't they? You look at Brighton. They were flavour of the month at the beginning of the year. Now Brighton can't win a game for love nor money, right? So this is the problem. When I keep hearing so many people tell me Spurs are brilliant, ENIC have killed us, we are amazing, we're a big club. When have we been that big club like Liverpool, like City, like Arsenal, like Chelsea, like Man United? The answer? We haven't. I'm sorry. So I don't know if anyone agrees. We haven't. The last league trophy we won, the league title we won, was 1961. Right? ENIC weren't around in 1961. We didn't win the league between 61 and 01 when they joined. That was 40 years. And unfortunately, if we want to be a big club, it's going to take more than finance. It's going to take, and I'm going to end the show on this, it's going to take what? A plan. Guys, thank you very much. Chris, appreciate you. Dan, appreciate you. Danny, appreciate you. Barry, an invaluable contribution at the end there to talk about some flip-flops. Absolutely stunning. Man of the match performance from Barry. And people in the chat. Guys, all I'll ask is this. If you hated Frank, have your day, have your week, have your 12 days of celebrating it. Then jump back to reality and realize there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on and we need to sort this shit out. Guys, take care. I'm going to send you over to Jim and Kate, the perfect match. Please get over there. There's 923 of you. How good would it be if you all went over there and half of you subscribed to get their numbers up and liked their show? Please just say Sava Raid, FHTV Raid. Thank you very much, Tom. I am super prepared for it. I'm pumped up. I need to go and look respectable now. Take care. Much love. And as always, I can't say come on, you Spurs. I'm going to end it on this. And as always...